Chapter 1511. Lu Ming and the other two went around a corridor and came to a room. They finally realized that the room hadn't been plundered. The tables and chairs inside were all rare materials for refining weapons. The three of them put them away. Then they continued to move forward. However, this time they found that all the rooms had been plundered. The room they were in just now was a fish that had escaped the net. The three of them went past a few rooms and came to a side hall. The three of them stopped there. In front of them, a young man in a white shirt stood with his hands behind his back. He was looking at a painting on the wall of the hall. There were a few true dragons in the painting. They were so lifelike that they looked as if they were going to jump out of the painting. Divine Son! Lu Ming and the other two were stunned. This young man was the Divine Son of the Heavenly God sect. Hearing the noise, the Divine Son turned around and looked at Lu Ming and the other two coldly. Disciples of the Dragon God Valley, no wonder you can come here. Get lost. The Divine Son said coldly. The last word, get lost, was like the roar of a god. Sacred light burst out and a terrifying wind swept towards Lu Ming and the other two. The three of them were shocked. They released their Zhenyuan and domain to defend themselves. However, the wind was too violent. It kept bombarding their bodies. The three of them felt as if they had been struck by lightning. They were forced to retreat. They felt their blood and qi surging. They almost coughed up blood. The Divine Son cast a cold glance at the three of them once again. With a wave of his hand, he put away the picture scroll. He seemed to be disdainful of dealing with the three of them. With a sway of his body, he left through a passageway. He's just scolding them. They just have a higher cultivation. Why do they act so high and mighty? Tian Chue scolded unhappily. Lu Ming didn't say anything. The martial world was like that. If you were strong, you could do whatever you wanted. If you weren't strong enough, there was no point in talking. The three of them chose another direction and moved forward. Soon they passed by a hall. There were fist-sized pearl of the night inlaid on the wall. Xuanixin's eyes lit up. She plucked out the pearl of the night pearl one by one and put them away excitedly. Lu Ming and Tian Chue looked at each other. This luminous pearl was a treasure to ordinary people. But to martial artists, it was no different from a piece of trash. It was completely useless. It said that true dragons like to collect treasures, especially shiny things. It's true. Tian Chue muttered. What do you know? Xuanixin glanced at Tian Chue with disdain. Boom! Boom! At this moment, their expressions changed. That was because there was an intense, rumbling sound coming from ahead of them. Someone is fighting, or... Tian Chue raised his eyebrows. Let's go take a look. Be careful, Lu Ming said. The three of them retracted their auras and headed toward the source of the voice. Soon, the three of them walked out of a large door and arrived at a huge hall. The hall was extremely spacious and could probably hold hundreds of thousands of people. In the middle of the hall was an enormous metal coffin. The giant coffin was engraved with the image of a true dragon. Layers of inscriptions filled the coffin. Dragon coffin. The three of them were shocked. It was obviously a dragon coffin. At this moment, a few experts were attacking the dragon coffin. However, the inscriptions on the dragon light formed a light screen that blocked the dragon coffin. Boom! 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 Those experts were all above the 7th layer of the martial emperor realm. There was even a cultivator of the 9th layer of the martial emperor realm. Dazzling lights shot out from his hands and bombarded the light screen of the dragon coffin. The light screen shook, but it couldn't be broken in a short time. When Lu Ming and the other two arrived, the experts turned around and glanced at them. When they saw that the strongest among the three of them was only a LV5 Martial Royal Realm expert, a hint of disdain flashed in their eyes and they were ignored. A dragon coffin. At this moment, a LV8 Martial Royal Realm expert arrived and joined the others to attack the dragon coffin. The loud rumbling attracted the experts over. Gradually, more and more experts gathered. Clang! A young man stepped out from one direction with a towering sword chi. It was Wang Jian, the genius of the Nine Heaven Sword sect. Bang! In another direction, the divine sun stepped out from the sacred light. The two top geniuses of the Tsang continent had arrived at the same time. A dragon coffin. The divine sun's eyes shone brightly. Get lost, a bunch of trash! The divine sun shouted coldly. He stepped out and appeared in front of the dragon coffin. Sacred light burst out from his body, and two experts were sent flying by the divine sun's sacred light. Damn it! The two experts roared in their hearts, but they did not dare to say anything. Boom! The divine sun's palm hit the light screen of the giant coffin. The light screen shook violently as if it would collapse at any time, but it held on in the end. Ha! Divine sun, it seems like you can't do it. Let me help you. Wang Jian sneered. Sword Qi burst out, and a terrifying sword Qi slashed at the light screen. The light screen shook violently, but it was not broken. Let's attack together. The divine sun glanced at the others coldly and said coldly, bang! Then the divine sun stepped out. The dazzling sacred light turned into a divine saber and slashed at the light screen of the dragon coffin. At the same time, Wang Jian slashed out with his sword. The others gritted their teeth and attacked as well. With so many people attacking together, the power was terrifying. They bombarded the light screen together, causing it to shake violently. Crack! The light screen made a cracking sound and a crack appeared. The light screen cracked open. The crowd was excited and continued to attack. Finally, with a bang, the light screen exploded. The inscriptions on the huge dragon coffin dimmed and finally disappeared. At this time, everyone's eyes fell on the dragon coffin. What was in the dragon coffin? Was there really a true dragon buried there? Open! The divine sun was bathed in sacred light. A huge palm condensed in the air and slammed heavily on the dragon coffin. Rumble! The lid of the dragon coffin was opened. Whoosh! 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 At this time, the crowd rose into the air and looked into the dragon coffin. Dragon! A true dragon! There really was a true dragon lying in the dragon coffin. The true dragon was pitch black. Its black scales revealed a sparkling luster. There were 2 dragon horns on its head and 5 dragon claws on its abdomen. It was a black dragon. The dragon's body exuded a mysterious aura. Sage state. This true dragon had definitely reached the sage state when it was alive. A sage state true dragon was full of treasures. Back then, Lu Ming had spent 2 million contribution points to redeem 15 pounds of sage state true dragon bones with complete spirituality. One could see how precious they were. Even if this true dragon's corpse had lost some of its spirituality, it was still priceless. Whoosh! Whoosh! Suddenly, someone moved and pounced at the true dragon's corpse. You're courting death. How dare you touch my true dragon? Kill! The divine sun shouted coldly. Sacred light burst out and turned into a divine saber that slashed out. Chapter 1512. Deity, aren't you being too overbearing? We opened the dragon coffin together. Everyone who saw it has a share. Don't tell me you want to monopolize it? A LV9 Martial Royal Realm Elder shouted angrily. Get lost. If you don't die. The divine sun said coldly, unusually overbearing. Haha, divine sun, it's not that easy for you to monopolize this true dragon. Wang Jian sneered. The divine sun glanced at him coldly, but he did not say anything. Strength spoke louder than words. He could not ignore Wang Jian's strength. The others looked pale. It was difficult for them to fight against Wang Jian and the divine sun. Everyone, the sacred realm dragon corpse is extremely rare. Since we have seen it, how can we not get a share? How about we join forces? The LV9 Martial Royal Realm Elder said. Okay, I agree. I agree too. The others said one after another. The figures of more than 10 experts flashed and gathered together, standing on equal footing with the divine sun and Wang Jian. You are just a mob. Don't overestimate yourselves. The divine son said coldly and stepped toward the true dragon corpse. He wanted to keep the divine dragon corpse. As long as he kept the true dragon corpse, no one could compete with him. Clang! Wang Jian also moved. How could he let the divine son monopolize it? Attack! The other experts moved as well. There are 13 of them in total. 3 of them were LV9 Martial Royal Realm experts. The rest were LV7 and LV8 Martial Royal Realm experts. Even a sage-to-be expert could not ignore them when they gathered together. The 3 parties pounced toward the true dragon at the same time. Lu Ming and the other 2 stood at the side of the hall and watched coldly. With their strength, they could not interfere at all. The divine son and the others ignored them. "Get lost! Get lost!" the divine son shouted. Sacred light condensed into a divine saber and slashed out a dozen times at Wang Jian and the other experts. Clang! Sword radiance burst out and clashed with the divine saber. The space was filled with the sound of sword chi and saber radiance. The other experts also tried their best to resist the saber radiance. Taking advantage of this opportunity, the deity grabbed the true dragon's corpse with his hand, intending to put it into his storage ring. Don't even think about it. At the same time, Wang Jian also grabbed out a big hand and collided with the godchild's big hand. "It's ours!" The dozen or so people strode forward and grabbed at the dragon corpse. Roar! At this moment, an earth-shattering dragon roar erupted from the dragon pavilion, forming a terrifying sound wave that swept out in all directions. The divine son and Wang Jian's expressions changed slightly. They each unleashed a blade light and a sword chi to break through the sound wave. Apart from the 2 ninth-layer martial dominators who managed to resist the sound wave, the rest were knocked backward. Some of them even vomited blood. Lu Ming and the other 2 also did their best to resist. However, they were relatively far away, so the power of the sound wave was greatly reduced, and they were able to block it with relative ease. What happened? Everyone at the scene was greatly shocked. A dragon's roar came from the dragon coffin. Could it be that this true dragon was still alive? Roar! Then another dragon roar sounded, and it also came from the dragon coffin. Bang! Bang! Next, a series of banging sounds could be heard from within the dragon coffin. The black dragon actually stood up and roared. It looked around, its huge eyes shining with a ferocious light. How can this be? The Saint True Dragon is still alive? No, the Saint True Dragon is dead. This is just the immortal mark of the Saint True Dragon. Many people spoke out. The last voice shocked everyone. They sensed carefully and found that there was no sign of life in this true dragon. It had indeed been dead for many years. The reason why the true dragon could move was because of the immortal mark. It's already dead. What's the use of resisting? Today it's destined to be mine. The divine son said coldly. The sacred light on his body became even brighter. He grasped the void with one hand, and a long spear appeared in his hand. Many people were shocked. This was the divine retribution spear. The divine retribution spear. Kill! The divine son shouted. The divine retribution spear pierced through the void and stabbed toward the true dragon's corpse. As long as the divine retribution spear destroyed the immortal mark of the Saint True Dragon, the Saint True Dragon would be completely dead. Roar! The black true dragon roared and clawed out. Boom! The dragon claw collided with the divine son's divine retribution spear, causing a violent roar. The black true dragon's body trembled, and the divine son took 2 steps back. After all, the Saint True Dragon had been dead for many years. The immortal mark left behind could not possibly have the combat strength it had when it was alive. On the other side, sword light flashed and Wang Jian appeared. The black true dragon swung its tail and blocked Wang Jian's sword light. Then the dragon's horns glowed. 2 beams of black light burst out and slashed toward the divine son and Wang Jian. The divine sun's divine retribution spear struck again and destroyed the black light. On the other side, Wang Jian also destroyed the true dragon's black light. You've been dead for many years, and you still want to resist. Today, I'll make you disappear completely, the divine sun said. His glabella glowed, and a small pagoda flew out. It was a small white jade pagoda. As soon as it flew out, it rapidly expanded and emitted a milky white sacred light. Its aura was shocking. A sacred weapon, someone whispered. Boom! The divine sun used a sacred weapon. With his cultivation, controlling a sacred weapon was shockingly powerful. The white jade pagoda pressed down on the black true dragon. Roar! The black true dragon roared, and its dragon claws slammed into the white jade pagoda, causing a violent roar. Boom! The white jade pagoda shook, but the true dragon's corpse was also shaken and retreated. Then, the white jade pagoda slammed down again. Although the true dragon roared again and again, it was still suppressed. Roar! The black true dragon roared and abandoned the divine sun. Its body twisted, and it rushed toward the top of the hall. It wanted to escape. Today you can't escape. The divine sun waved his hand, and an inscription talisman scroll appeared. The inscription talisman scroll opened, and dense inscriptions shone. Buzz! A large array appeared and suppressed the void. What a wonderful inscription talisman scroll! It can actually seal the void. Next to the hall, Lu Ming's eyes narrowed. The inscription talisman scroll of the divine sun was very wonderful. It could seal the void and imprison it. In this way, the black true dragon would not be able to escape. Divine sun, you're really generous. You're even willing to take out an ancient inscription talisman scroll like the god's forbidden void. Wang Jian said, Humph! The divine sun snorted. He took a step forward and appeared above the black true dragon. The white jade pagoda pressed down again and completely obliterated the black true dragon's mark. Bubbles. At this time, no one noticed that Lu Ming had sent a voice transmission to Bubbles, who was on his shoulder. Then Bubbles opened its mouth and waved its little claws forward. Crack! Crack! Chapter 1513. The inscription talisman of the god's forbidden void had failed. Since the void imprisonment failed, the inscription talisman burned and turned into ashes. Inscription talismans were usually one-time use items. Roar! After the void imprisonment failed, the black real dragon let out a long roar. Its dragon power was vast and mighty, and its entire body emitted a black light. Boom! The black real dragon struck out with its dragon claws and heavily bombarded the white jade pagoda, causing it to fly out. Then the black real dragon let out a long roar and soared into the sky. It smashed a hole in the ceiling of the hall and flew out. Whoosh! Gravel flew everywhere, and a huge hole appeared above the dragon palace. The black real dragon wanted to break through the sky and fly out. Who is it? The deity roared and looked around, emitting an extremely cold, murderous intent. Just now, someone had secretly broken his god's forbidden void, allowing the black real dragon to escape. A great opportunity had been destroyed, and he had lost an ancient god's forbidden void inscription talisman. This made the deity's murderous intent extremely intense. No one made a sound. Swoosh! A sword light flashed, and the king's sword soared into the sky and chased after the black real dragon. The deity roared and also soared into the sky, chasing after the black real dragon. Let's go and take a look. That's right, we should at least get a share. The other experts soared into the sky and rushed toward the hole in the ceiling. Above them, light scattered. The black real dragon had directly pierced through the roof of the dragon palace and rushed out of the dragon palace. Is that a real dragon? No, a real dragon's corpse? Let's go and take a look. Lu Ming and the rest could still hear the voices coming from outside. Obviously, those who couldn't enter the dragon palace exclaimed when they saw the black real dragon fly out. Roar! Boom! Then a dragon's roar resounded. Obviously, the black real dragon had been caught, and a huge battle broke out between it and the deity and the rest. Chirp, chirp! Bubbles chirped on Lu Ming's shoulder. Lu Ming smiled. Just now, it was Lu Ming who had let Bubbles destroy the deity's forbidden void. Bubbles was a space-time spirit mouse and could control time and space. It could secretly destroy space without anyone noticing. What should we do? Are you going out to watch the show? Tian Chue spoke, feeling a little depressed. In this trip to the Dragon Palace, they didn't get anything except some refining materials. As for the true dragon corpse, they could only look at it and not fight for it. How could they not feel depressed? True dragons usually like to build a hidden treasury. I reckon that it hasn't been discovered yet, Xuanixin said. Treasure vault? Tian Chue's eyes lit up. Xuanixin was a real dragon. She knew the habits of real dragons very well. Xuanixin nodded and said, "That's right. Besides, the treasury is very well hidden. It's probably not far away from the true dragon's corpse. If it's not far away, then it's very likely that it's in this hall." Lu Ming said, "That's right." Xuanixin nodded. "Then let's hurry up and find them. When those guys come back, we'll have nothing to do with them," Tian Chue said. Then he rushed out and looked around to see if there were any hidden doors. Lu Ming and Xuanixin also looked around. However, no matter how many people looked around the hall, they didn't find anything. Could it be under the dragon coffin? At this moment, Lu Ming looked at the dragon coffin. Xuanixin's eyes lit up and said, "That's possible." If it was under the dragon coffin, wouldn't it be the closest to the black true dragon? Hurry up. Tian Chue rushed over and pressed his palms on the dragon coffin. His muscles bulged as he pushed with great force. Rumble! The huge dragon coffin was pushed up by Tian Chue. Lu Ming and Xuanixin also went over to help. The three of them worked together to move the dragon coffin. There's a door indeed. When the dragon coffin was moved, their eyes lit up. There was obviously a door under the dragon coffin. They could see that the true dragon's treasury was probably below. Break this door! A huge hammer appeared in Tian Chue's hand. Wait a minute, Lu Ming called out. Then his glabella lit up. Dense inscriptions appeared in the void, forming a large formation. This formation could isolate sound. This was the inscription of the second body. It was inscribing the formation through Lu Ming. Junior brother is still the most thoughtful. Tian Chue grinned, picked up the huge hammer, and smashed it heavily on the door on the ground. Boom! The huge hammer smashed down, and there was a loud explosion. If not for the soundproof formation, it would definitely alarm the people outside. However, when the huge hammer smashed down, the door on the ground was completely fine, only leaving a faint mark. It's so hard. I don't believe it. Again. Tian Chue continued to pick up the huge hammer and smashed it down again. However, it was useless. It did not budge. Tian Chue smashed it 7 or 8 times in a row, but the result was the same. "No, I can't open it at all," Tian Chue said helplessly. "This door can only be opened with a special method. Brute force is useless," Lu Ming observed carefully. "I've heard that some true dragons will use their own blood as a key to seal the door of the treasure vault. Try my blood." Xuanixin thought for a while and said. Then Xuanixin waved her hand and cut a wound on her arm. Sparkling blood dripped onto the ground. Rumble! The ground suddenly shook, and there was a rumbling sound. Then the door on the ground opened to both sides, revealing an underground secret chamber. As soon as the door opened, a bright light spread out from below. "It's open. Let's go down." The three of them flew down with shining eyes. Below them was a secret chamber. As soon as they went down, the three of them were stunned. Treasures. They were all treasures. At a glance, they were all treasures piled up like mountains. There were all kinds of shiny refining materials. Some were for refining spiritual weapons, and some were for refining sacred weapons. However, they all had one thing in common, which was that they were shining brightly. There were also all kinds of spiritual weapons. Lu Ming looked around and found that there were spiritual weapons of all levels. There were even low-level spiritual weapons. Each of them was shining brightly. Some of the spiritual treasures were even embedded with gems. He even saw piles of night pearl. Of course, there were also piles of origin stones. However, Lu Ming's gaze was fixed on the dozen balls of light floating in the air. Sacred weapons. More than a dozen balls of light. All of them sacred weapons. More than a dozen sacred weapons. Lu Ming's heart raced. Let's put them away quickly. Lu Ming said, if the Divine Son and the others found out, they would not have a share. Yes, let's put them away quickly. We'll sort them out when we get out. Tian Chui said. Chapter 1514. In less than a minute, the entire treasury was emptied. Nothing was left. Let's go. After that, the three of them rushed out of the treasury. Without any hesitation, they flew out through the hole created by the true dragon. Boom! Boom! In the outside world, the battle was still ongoing above the Qilong Lake. The deity Wang Jian and the others were still besieging the black true dragon's corpse. Roar! The black true dragon's body was emitting a black light, as if a black flame was burning. Its combat strength was even stronger than before. The true dragon's corpse is burning the mark to increase its combat strength. But soon the mark will disappear, and the true dragon's corpse will have no power to resist. Xuanning thought. The three of them flew to the side of the Qilong Lake and watched from afar. The deity controlled the white jade hall like the Son of God. He was bathed in holy light and constantly bombarded the black true dragon. As for Wang Jian, a battle sword floated above his head. It was obviously a sacred weapon. Beams of terrifying sword light slashed at the black true dragon. As for the other experts, they could only watch from afar. They could not interfere at all. Roar! The black true dragon suddenly roared. 2 dragon horns flew out from its head and rapidly grew in size. In the end, they turned into 2 sky-piercing blades and slashed at the deity and Wang Jian. Clang! Clang! The deity's white jade pagoda and Wang Jian's battle sword were sent flying by the dragon horns. The deity and Wang Jian's bodies shook and they were forced to retreat. Roar! The black true dragon roared angrily. Its body twisted and rushed into the distance. You want to leave? Dream on. The deity roared. He controlled the white jade pagoda and heavily bombarded one of the dragon horns. The dragon horn was sent flying. Its light dimmed and it quickly shrank. The deity rushed over and grabbed the dragon horn in his hand. On the other side, Wang Jian also grabbed a dragon horn in his hand. The 2 of them put away the dragon horns and turned into beams of light, chasing after the black true dragon. There are dragon scales over there. They're mine. As soon as the deity and Wang Jian left, the rest of the people rioted. In the battle, just now, many dragon scales had fallen off the black true dragon. If these dragon scales were refined into defensive armor, they would definitely be rare treasures. The experts below all pounced on the 5 or 6 dragon scales, one after another. A chaotic battle broke out at the scene. From time to time, experts would scream miserably as they were killed here. Senior brother, senior sister, let's go, Lu Ming said to Tian Chui and Xuanning. They had gained a lot on this trip. They had emptied the treasury of a saint stage true dragon. It could be said that they were the biggest winners. This trip was worth it. There was no point in staying here any longer. All right. Tian Chui took out the sky-piercing flying shuttle, and the 3 of them entered it. The sky-piercing flying shuttle broke through the air and entered the baleful Qi. Not long after Lu Ming and the others left, the deity and Wang Jian returned with cold faces. It was especially so for the divine child, whose body emanated cold, killing intent. Clearly, their harvest was not good. It was very likely that they had lost the black dragon. Die! The deity's entire body seemed to have turned into a long spear, piercing through the void and charging toward the cultivators who were fighting over the dragon scales. Pucci, a LV9 Martial Royal Realm expert, was pierced by the divine sun and died on the spot. Today, none of you will be able to leave, the deity said, coldly. The deity's spear of punishment pierced through the void, and another expert was killed. Previously in the Dragon Palace, he had used the inscription scroll of the god's forbidden void to imprison the Black Dragon. That way, the Black Dragon would not be able to escape and would be destroyed by him. The deity's mark would be destroyed and the true dragon's corpse would be his. However, at the critical moment, he had been disturbed. Someone had destroyed the inscription scroll of the god's forbidden void, allowing the Black Dragon to escape. The inscription scroll of the god's forbidden void was an ancient inscription scroll that he had obtained by chance. It was extremely precious. However, if he could obtain the Saint Stage True Dragon's corpse, it would be a great gain. However, he had not obtained the Saint Stage True Dragon's corpse, and the god's forbidden void ancient talisman had been wasted. This made him extremely murderous. Needless to say, the person who had destroyed the inscription scroll was among those who had entered the Dragon Palace. Therefore, the deity had started a massacre. Pucci, Pucci. One by one, the experts were killed by the deity. The deity has gone mad. Run! The remaining experts fled in all directions. Don't even think about leaving, the deity said coldly. The white jade pagoda flew out and became the size of a mountain. The remaining people screamed miserably as their bodies exploded. Their bodies and souls were destroyed. The dozen experts who had entered the Dragon Palace were all killed by the deity in an instant, except for Wang Jian. Where are the 3 ants from the Dragon God Valley? The deity looked around and did not see Lu Ming and the other 2. However, he was not too concerned. He did not think that the 3 of them, who were at most level 5 Martial Royal Realm, would be able to destroy his god's forbidden void ancient talisman. Ho-ho, deity, you have suffered a double loss today. Wang Jian sneered not far away. Humph, you'd better shut up. Otherwise I'll kill you too, the deity said coldly. You can give it a try, Wang Jian said with fighting spirit. A fierce light flashed in the deity's eyes. However, he did not attack. Wang Jian's cultivation was at the same level as his, and he was also a peerless genius. It would not be easy for him to kill Wang Jian. The deity harumphed and took a step forward. He rushed into the Dragon Palace through the hole. He wanted to see if there were any treasures left in the Dragon Palace. As soon as he rushed in, his expression changed. He saw the dragon coffin being moved and the door under it. Empty treasury, damn it. It's the treasury of the true dragon. The deity growled. A sword glow flashed, and Wang Jian appeared. He glanced around and said in a cold voice, "It seems like our hard work has been taken advantage of by someone else." Following this, the 2 of them rushed into the treasury. Their bodies emitted a cold, murderous intent as they stared at the empty treasury. This time they had worked so hard, but in the end, they had not obtained anything other than a dragon horn and a few dragon scales. Even the most important treasury of the true dragon had been taken away by someone else. In particular, the deity had lost an ancient talisman. Who is it? The deity roared furiously. His murderous intent was as sharp as a knife. Then he flew out of the treasury and stood on the door of the treasury, carefully examining it. Blood of the true dragon. No wonder it can open the door of the treasury. The deity sensed the blood left behind by Xuan Yingxin on the door. His eyes flickered with a cold light. Blood of the true dragon. It's the dragon from the divine Dragon Valley. It's those 3 ants. How dare they steal the empty treasury under my nose? They must have a death wish. After a while, the deity said in a cold voice, "How dare they?" Wang Jian said coldly. Then he turned into a sword glow and left the place. Following this, the deity stepped into the air with murderous intent. Chapter 15:15. Lu Ming and the other 2 took the flying shuttle and flew out of the area with the sinister aura very quickly. After flying out of the baleful aura area, the Skyhammer changed its direction and flew towards the Song Mountains. As the shuttle flew, Lu Ming and the other two took out the treasures from the Dragon Palace treasury and began to divide them. First of all, there was a large pile of refining materials. There were all kinds of refining materials, both low-grade and high-grade. Xuanixin specifically picked the shiny refining materials. Lu Ming and Tian Chui were casual. After Xuanixin was done picking, the two of them divided the materials casually and kept them. It was the same for Xuanixin. She specially picked out the shiny and beautiful spirit weapons. As for those night-luminescent pearls, jade, and other gemstones that were useless to Lu Ming and Tian Chui, Xuanixin's eyes lit up. Lu Ming and Tian Chui were speechless. Finally, there were the holy weapons. There were a total of 13 holy weapons floating in the shuttle, emitting mysterious waves. The 13 sacred weapons were all bright, sacred weapons. After all, a great saint weapon was too rare. In the Tsang province, it was an extremely rare item. There are 13 holy weapons in total. We each get 4, and the last one goes to 8th senior sister. This time, if it weren't for her, we wouldn't have been able to open the door of the treasury. 7th senior brother, what do you think? Lu Ming said, Of course. Skyhammer grinned. If I get one more, how can I accept it? Xuanixin said, but her eyes were already fixed on a long sword. This long sword was inlaid with 7 different colored gems. It was very beautiful. Lu Ming smiled and said, Senior sister, you pick first. I want this sword. As soon as Lu Ming finished speaking, Xuanixin grabbed the sword in her hand and couldn't bear to let it go. You guys pick. This sword is enough for me. The rest is up to you, Xuanixin said. Then this hammer is mine. Tian Chui had his eyes on a purple gold hammer. He grabbed it in his hand and was quite satisfied. The handle of this hammer is too short. Looks like I'll have to find an inscriber to refine it. Tian Chui waved the big hammer a few times and was very happy. Lu Ming reached out and grabbed a spear in his hand. This long spear was completely black, and there was a black dragon coiling around it. It looked very mysterious and domineering. I've finally gotten a saint weapon spear. Lu Ming broke into a smile. If he used the saint weapon spear, the power of the 13 strikes would definitely be even stronger. Unfortunately, there was no glove-type saint weapon among the 13. Now that the 3 had obtained holy weapons, they were very happy. Then they casually chose the remaining holy weapons. Lu Ming picked 3 more, and so did Tian Chui. Xuanixin kept the remaining 4. This trip could be said to be a bountiful harvest. Putting everything else aside, just a single saint artifact was worth 1,000,000 contribution points. How many treasures could he exchange for with that amount of contribution points? As for Nirvana pills, he could probably exchange for a bunch of them. This spear shall be called the Black Dragon Spear. It'll last me for a while. I wonder when the Infinite Dragon Spear will be upgraded to a saint weapon. Lu Ming muttered to himself. At this moment, Ming Lian's second body came out of the mountain river diagram with the Infinite Dragon Spear floating in his hand. Pieces of precious refining materials were wrapped in golden spiritual fire and slowly merged into the Infinite Dragon Spear. Right now, Lu Ming had a lot of precious refining materials in his hands. As long as he continued to integrate precious metal materials into the Infinite Dragon Spear, it would level up. When he was not refining his second body, he would refine the Infinite Dragon Spear. I'll refine this Black Dragon Spear while I'm on the road. Lu Ming held the Infinite Dragon Spear and was about to input his ethereal force. Buzz! At this moment, the Black Dragon Spear vibrated slightly. Buzz! Buzz! Then the Black Dragon Spear vibrated more and more violently. The body of the spear glowed, and the black dragon coiling around it seemed to come alive. What's going on? Xuanixin and Tian Chui Both looked over curiously. I don't know. The spear suddenly vibrated on its own. Lu Ming said, Buzz. The black dragon's spear vibrated and floated in the air. The tip of the spear automatically pointed in a direction. The tip of the spear is pointing in a direction. What's going on? Is there something in that direction that's attracting the black dragon spear? Lu Ming guessed. As the sky-piercing flying shuttle flew forward, the tip of the black dragon spear also turned slightly, but it always pointed in one direction. There was definitely something in that direction that was attracting the black dragon spear. Junior brother, let's go and take a look. Xuanixin said, Okay, but we can't take the sky-piercing flying shuttle. Lu Ming said, The black dragon spear belonged to the black dragon of the Dragon Palace. The black dragon spear's abnormality might have something to do with the black dragon. However, they had seen the Divine Sun and Wang Jian chasing after the black dragon. If the Divine Sun and Wang Jian were in front of them, they had to be careful. The three of them got off the sky-piercing flying shuttle. Tian Chui put away the sky-piercing flying shuttle. The three of them concealed their auras and flew forward according to the black dragon spear's instructions. The more they flew, the more the black dragon spear buzzed. Soon, they flew into a mountain range. That's the body of the saint-level black dragon. Xuanixin exclaimed. Lu Ming and Tian Chui looked in the same direction at the same time. In a mountain valley, a huge black dragon was lying there quietly. It did not emit any aura and did not move at all. The body of the saint-level black dragon escaped. The Divine Sun and the others didn't catch it. Xuanixin's eyes lit up. The mark on its body has completely disappeared. Lu Ming sensed and said, After the battle with the Divine Sun and the others, the immortal mark on the black dragon's body had disappeared. It was now a real dragon corpse. The three of them flew down the valley. Lu Ming and Tian Chui looked at each other with burning flames in their eyes. Eighth, junior sister, this. Tian Chui hesitated, not knowing what to say. The dragon's corpse was priceless, but Xuanixin was a real dragon, just like the black dragon. If they touched the dragon's corpse, what would Xuanixin think? Therefore, Lu Ming and Tian Chui were hesitant. Are you worried about me? You don't have to. Cultivation, whether for humans or monsters, is about plundering. Plundering the chi of heaven and earth. Plundering the heaven and earth. Plundering other people, even if they're of the same race. Besides, this is a black dragon, which is not of the same race as me. Xuanixin said. Then, a sacred weapon appeared in Xuanixin's hand. She stabbed the dragon head and dug out a crystal from the dragon head. Dragon crystals were formed when true dragons entered the saint level, just like the saint heart of a human martial artist. This dragon crystal is mine. It'll be of great help to my cultivation, Xuanixin said. Okay, haha, junior brother, what do you need? Tian Chui asked Lu Ming. I just need some dragon bones. Lu Ming said. Dragon bones from a true dragon were second only to true dragon blood essence for Lu Ming to cultivate the dragon god battle body. Chapter 1516. All right then, junior brother, the dragon bones are yours and the dragon meat is mine. I have the barbarian dragon battle body, and I can slowly raise the level of my spirit body by devouring its flesh and blood. Tian Chui grinned. It can raise the level of my spirit body. Lu Ming's heart stirred, and he was secretly shocked. This seventh senior brother was really something. Of course, he didn't think that Tian Chui was talking about increasing the level of his spirit body. It was most likely an increase in the quality of his spirit body. His dragon god battle body was condensed from the 9 dragons' bloodline. Refining dragon bones and dragon blood could raise the level of his dragon body. He didn't expect that Tian Chui could do the same. It seemed that he wasn't the only one who had a strange physique that could raise the level of his spirit body. He just didn't know if Tian Chui's speed of improvement was as fast as his. Immediately, Lu Ming and Tian Chui separated the black dragon's flesh and bones. Tian Shui kept the true dragon's flesh, while Lu Ming kept the dragon bones. As for the dragon skin and dragon scales, they were rare treasures that could be refined into leather armor and battle armor. The three of them divided it equally. 8th junior sister, 9th junior brother. Let's find a place to cultivate. Tian Shui was eager to try. Okay. Lu Ming nodded. He had the same intention. Xuanixin also had the same idea. The three of them rose into the air and left. Soon, the three of them arrived at a huge mountain range 1,000,000 miles away. They each opened a cave abode in the mountain range and entered it to cultivate. After Lu Ming entered the cave abode, he entered the mountain river diagram and took out the dragon bones. The dragon bones were extremely heavy. However, because this true dragon had been dead for many years, it had lost a lot of its spiritual essence. In total, it was still many times more precious than the dragon bones that Lu Ming bought in the Dragon God Valley. Devour! A powerful devouring force erupted from Lu Ming's body. The devouring force shrouded the entire dragon bone. Lu Ming continuously devoured and absorbed the essence of the true dragon's spirituality from the dragon bone and integrated it into his body. It transformed his body, causing his dragon body to transform and become stronger. This cultivation lasted for half a month. In half a month, Lu Ming had completely refined the dragon bones, leaving only a few impurities, which were reduced to ashes and scattered across the mountain and river diagram. Roar! Lu Ming's body seemed to be nurturing 9 dragons. At this moment, a dragon's roar resounded. Following that, 9 illusory dragons rushed out from Lu Ming's body, emitting a powerful pressure. Lu Ming's muscles wriggled slightly before calming down. His body was pure and holy, filled with power. Superior earth spiritual body. Lu Ming's eyes flashed with a bright light. Although this dragon bone had been dead for many years and had lost a great deal of its spiritual essence, it was still too complete. The added energy allowed Lu Ming's spirit body to complete its transformation and evolve into a superior earth spirit body. What a powerful force! Lu Ming felt that his entire body was brimming with power. His every move was earth-shattering. It's much more powerful than a mid-tier earth spirit body. Lu Ming waved his palm casually. There was a roar in the void, followed by a terrifying sonic boom. Although his cultivation was still at the 3rd layer martial dominator realm, his strength was significantly stronger than before. No wonder a superior earth spirit body was considered one of the best in the Tsang continent. Only a few people possessed a superior earth spirit body in the vast Tsang continent. Each of them was a terrifying genius. It was said that the top 10 geniuses of the Tsang continent all possessed superior earth spirit bodies. I wonder if 7th senior brother and 8th senior sister are done with their cultivation. With a thought, Lu Ming exited the mountain and river diagram and flew out of the cave. He sensed that Tian Shui and Xuanixin were still cultivating. Lu Ming returned to the cave abode again. This time, Lu Ming did not enter the mountain river diagram. Instead, he cultivated in the cave abode that he opened up temporarily. Lu Ming took out a pile of origin stones and prepared to refine them to improve his cultivation. His chaotic domain was about to reach the peak of LV4, so his cultivation would naturally improve. 5 days passed in the blink of an eye after refining a large pile of origin stones. For the past 5 days, Lu Ming did not stop at all. He devoured and refined primordial stones like crazy. Even he did not know how many primordial stones he had devoured and refined. Boom! A powerful aura burst out from Lu Ming's body. This was the aura of a 4th layer martial dominator realm. Lu Ming had finally broken through the 4th layer martial dominator realm and entered the middle tier martial dominator realm. After entering the 4th layer martial dominator realm, Lu Ming's combat strength had undoubtedly increased again. At this moment, Lu Ming's combat strength was at least several times stronger than when he was in the Dragon Palace. At this moment, Lu Ming also felt two extremely powerful fluctuations nearby. After a while it became quiet. Senior brother Tian Chui and senior sister Xue have also broken through. Lu Ming's heart stirred, and he dashed out of the cave abode. Whoosh! Whoosh! As soon as Lu Ming came out, Tian Chui and Xuaningxin also rushed out with shocking auras. Senior brother, senior sister, have you two broken through? Lu Ming said with a smile. Haha, I've eaten a huge amount of true dragon meat. I did not expect my cultivation to break through to the 6th layer martial dominator realm. Tian Chui burst out laughing. However, Lu Ming sensed for a while and discovered that Tian Chui's spirit body had indeed improved. However, it was not very significant and could not be compared to his improvement. This was not surprising, as his spiritual body was refined from the bloodline of the 9 dragons. His dragon god battle flesh was rarely comparable to it. It was already shocking that Tian Chui's spiritual body was able to improve slowly. I've refined the dragon crystal, and my cultivation has also improved to the 6th layer martial dominator realm. Xuaningxin said. This time, the trio had benefited greatly, allowing their strength to skyrocket. Tian Chui and Xuaningxin already possessed outstanding strength, now that they had broken through to the 6th layer martial dominator realm. Their strength was even more terrifying. We'll cultivate in seclusion here for 20 days. There's only a month left until the treasure pedestal. Let's hurry to the Tsang Mountain. Xuaningxin said. Let's go. Tian Chui took out the sky-piercing shuttle. The trio entered the shuttle and flew toward the Tsang Mountain at a rapid pace. 7 days later, they finally arrived at the Tsang Mountain. They had not been idle during this period, as they had refined the sacred weapons they had found. In front of him, a majestic mountain appeared before his eyes. The trio exited the shuttle and gazed into the distance. The Tsang Mountain was too magnificent. It stood between the heavens and earth, with its peak piercing through the clouds like a pillar of the world. Given Lu Ming and the rest's current cultivation, as long as there were no obstacles blocking their line of sight, they would be able to see the scenery tens of thousands of miles away clearly. However, at a glance, they could not see the edge of the Tsang Mountain at all. This showed how huge the Tsang Mountain was. The trio flew toward the Tsang Mountain. Bang! Suddenly, a loud explosion could be heard in front of them. Following this, they saw 2 figures colliding with one another as a saber glow was slashed forward. Following a cry of agony, a figure was slashed in half, causing blood to splatter everywhere. A young man carrying a saber on his back appeared and absorbed the storage ring of the slain cultivator with his chi. He then glanced at Lu Ming and the others before leaving the place. The people of the intentionless saber sect. Chapter 1517. Looks like Tsang Mountain isn't peaceful. Lu Ming said. Indeed, the treasure-ranking assembly of the Tsang province is held once every 3 years. Countless geniuses from the 13 top sects of the Tsang province will gather at Tsang Mountain. Some of the 13 top sects have grudges against each other, and fights often break out. Now that they are gathering at Tsang Mountain, it's normal for fights to break out because of a disagreement. Xuaningxin explained. Xuaningxin had been to Tsang Mountain 3 years ago, so she knew more about it. Tsang Mountain is the place where Emperor Tsang proved his Tao and became a great emperor. Therefore, many strong cultivators, including supreme saints and absolute saints, have come to pay homage to the place where Emperor Tsang proved his Tao. Therefore, there are many heavenly path marks left by strong cultivators in Tsang Mountain, which usually attracts many people. Let's go take a look. Xuaningxin said. There's such a place? Of course we'll go. Tian Chui looked expectant. Then Xuaningxin led the way, and the 3 of them flew to the east of Tsang Mountain. The closer they got to Tsang Mountain, the more extraordinary they felt it was. It was as if there was a powerful aura here, as if a sovereign was hibernating here. They couldn't help feeling reverence for it. Along the way, they could see that there were many buildings in Song Mountain. Although there weren't any top sects in Song Mountain, there were still some small forces here. Soon, the three of them landed on a small path. There's a valley ahead, and there's a palm print left by a great saint senior. It's very mysterious. I came here 3 years ago to study it, and I learned a lot, Xuanningshin said, and took the lead to walk forward. After walking for a while, they saw the entrance of a valley, but there were 2 young men guarding it. Stop! You're not allowed to pass. The 2 young men stretched out their hands to block their way, and one of them said coldly, What do you mean? Xuanningshin's eyes turned cold. This place has been reserved by the Celestial God sect. You can go somewhere else. One of the young men sneered. Reserved by the Celestial God sect? Ridiculous. This place belongs to the world, and anyone can come here. How come I didn't know it became the territory of the Celestial God sect? Xuanningshin sneered. I said it's reserved, so it's reserved. Get out of here. A young man from the Heavenly Divinity sect berated in an overbearing manner. The Heavenly God sect is really domineering. Tian Chue's eyes flickered with a ferocious glint. If it weren't for the fact that he could sense that there were many powerful auras in the canyon, he would have already made his move. Let's go somewhere else. Xuanningshin's eyes flashed with killing intent, but in the end, she pulled Skyhammer and Lu Ming and left. Stop! Don't let them go. At this moment, a cold roar could be heard coming from the canyon. Stop! The 2 young men guarding the door appeared in front of Lu Ming's group with a flicker, blocking their path. Whoosh! 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 In the canyon, a piercing sound could be heard as 5 young men rushed out and surrounded Lu Ming and his crew. Shi Tian! A cold light flashed in Lu Ming's eyes. Among the 5 people that rushed out, one of them was Shi Tian, the young leader of the Celestial Divine sect that had entered the great Emperor Mystic realm. Haha, Lu Ming, it's you indeed. Shi Tian burst out laughing while staring at Lu Ming with an icy expression. A murderous intent was emitted from his body. Lu Ming, you've killed so many disciples of the Heavenly Divinity sect in the Kangwu mystical ground. You won't be able to leave here alive today. A powerful aura was emitted from Shi Tian's body, locking onto Lu Ming's figure. Previously at the Kangwu mystical ground, before the ground had collapsed, Lu Ming had killed many disciples of the Heavenly Divinity sect, causing Shi Tian to hate Lu Ming to the core. Junior brother Shi Tian, there's no need for you to kill him. I'll kill him for you, a young man beside Shi Tian said. No need, I'll kill him myself. Shi Tian waved his hand and stepped forward. Bang! His aura skyrocketed, which finally stopped after reaching the 4th layer martial dominator realm. Shi Tian had found a succession in the Kangwu mystical ground. After he had returned, he had received the attention of the Heavenly Divinity sect. In addition to his outstanding talent, his cultivation had improved tremendously, ranking up to the 4th layer martial dominator realm. With the succession, his strength was even more terrifying. This time he was confident that he would be able to kill Lu Ming to avenge his humiliation. Lu Ming died. A sacred glow burst out from Shi Tian's body as a godly retribution spear was formed, piercing through the air like a white lightning with a sharp aura, stabbing in Lu Ming's direction. If it were an ordinary 4th layer martial dominator, or even an ordinary 5th layer martial dominator, they would be killed by the attack. However, Lu Ming was no ordinary cultivator. In an instant, the godly retribution spear was about to reach Lu Ming. At that moment, Lu Ming reached out his hand and grabbed the godly retribution spear. The godly retribution spear stopped in front of Lu Ming, unable to move any further. Kill him! Shi Tian yelled as his true force and domain surged into the godly retribution spear. However, it was as if the godly retribution spear was frozen in place, unable to move. Shi Tian widened his eyes as blue veins popped out on his face. He unleashed his full strength, but Lu Ming's hand was like a boulder. No matter how hard he yelled, it was useless. How is this possible? Shi Tian yelled in his heart. He could not believe it. Is this all you've got? Lu Ming said coldly. His muscles shuddered as a dragon's roar was heard, and he clenched his fist. Bang! The godly retribution spear that Shi Tian had formed shattered into pieces. Bang! Following this, Lu Ming clenched his fist and threw a punch at Shi Tian. Shi Tian instinctively raised his hands in front of him. Bang! Lu Ming's punch landed on Shi Tian's arms, causing them to explode. Shi Tian let out a cry of agony as his body was sent flying while he spat out mouthfuls of blood. Although they were both fourth-layer martial royal realm cultivators, Shi Tian was unable to fight back against Lu Ming. He was easily defeated. Kill, kill, let's attack together and kill them. Shi Tian yelled as his spiritual body glowed as he tried to repair his broken arms. Die! Kill! The other young men of the Heavenly God sect yelled furiously as their auras burst out. Sacred light filled the air as terrifying attacks were launched at Lu Ming. Among them, 2 of the 6th-layer martial royal realm cultivators were aiming at Lu Ming. Kill! Lu Ming yelled as he executed the holy sword technique. The 2 5th-layer martial royal realm cultivators' souls shuddered as their true force became chaotic. Bang! Bang! Lu Ming stepped forward and threw out 2 blows. The 2 5th-layer martial royal realm cultivators were instantly killed by Lu Ming. Let's kill you sons of bitches. On the other side, Tian Chue and Xuanixin attacked too. The strongest among them was only a 6th-layer martial royal realm cultivator. Thus they were no match against Tian Chue and Xuanixin. 2 of them were killed by Tian Chue's hammer, while the other 2 were killed by Xuanixin's fists. Chapter 1518. Shi Tian's face instantly turned pale. How dare you? Shi Tian roared. I'll kill you now. Lu Ming stepped forward and charged at Shi Tian. Shi Tian retreated frantically and yelled, Senior brother, help! How dare you kill a disciple of the celestial god sect? Die! Just then, a cold, murderous intent rushed out from the canyon. A huge palm print, formed by Saint Light, blasted toward Lu Ming. This palm was extremely terrifying. Lu Ming had a feeling that if he were to be hit by this palm, he might be blasted to death. Leave it to me. I'll do it. Tian Chue and Xuanixin rushed out at the same time. Tian Chue swung the giant hammer in his hand. His muscles bulged like a dragon as he smashed the hammer toward the palm print. Roar! Xuanixin let out a dragon's roar, and a cold aura spread out from her body. Her delicate fist seemed to have turned into ice as she threw out 2 punches. Tian Chue and Xuanixin's attacks collided with the palm print at the same time. Boom! Boom! After 2 loud explosions, Tian Chue and Xuanixin were sent flying with a muffled groan. However, the palm print had also been greatly weakened. It continued to blast toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming's glabella glowed and a shield appeared. It flew forward and blocked the palm print. At the same time, a long spear formed in Lu Ming's hand. He swung the long spear, and it pierced toward Shi Tian like a bolt of lightning. This move was shockingly fast. It pierced through Shi Tian's defense and pierced through his dantian, nailing him to the ground. I hate, Shi Tian roared. He was filled with unwillingness, but in the next moment he lost all signs of life. He was killed by Lu Ming. Boom! That palm print struck the shield and it was sent flying. It shrank rapidly and flew into Lu Ming's glabella before disappearing. However, this shield was a sacred weapon, and it successfully blocked the other party's attack. You're courting death. A terrifying aura burst out from the canyon. A roar was heard, and a terrifying aura rushed out of the canyon. Not good, run. Lu Ming roared and soared into the sky. At the same time, Tian Chue and Xuanixin also flew into the distance. Whoosh! A young man rushed out of the canyon, his body emitting a shocking killing intent. He stared at Lu Ming's group and roared, "You want to escape after killing my heavenly god sex disciples? Kill!" The young man turned into a beam of holy light and chased after Lu Ming and the others at an astonishing speed. So fast! Lu Ming was startled. The other party's speed was too fast. He was closing in on them at an extremely fast speed. Whoosh! His opponent waved his hand and slashed out a beam of holy light. The holy light streaked across the void, heading straight for Lu Ming. At the last moment, Lu Ming killed Shi Tian, which made the other party target Lu Ming. Shi Tian was a rare genius in the Heavenly Divinity sect. In the Tsungdi's secret realm, he had obtained the inheritance and was heavily nurtured. But now he was killed by Lu Ming. "Junior brother, be careful!" Tian Chui yelled. The holy light was too fast, and it instantly closed in on Lu Ming. Whoosh! Black wings extended from Lu Ming's back and protected Lu Ming's body. Clang! The holy light hit the black wings, causing them to vibrate violently. Lu Ming's body was sent flying like a cannonball. So powerful! Lu Ming felt his qi and blood surging, and blood flowed out of his mouth. Even with the protection of the black wings, he still vomited blood. This showed how powerful the other party's attack was. 9th layer martial royal realm. Moreover, the other party was a peerless genius with shocking combat strength. "Junior brother, how are you?" Xuanixin asked with concern. "I'm fine. If this goes on, he will catch up to us sooner or later. Senior brother, senior sister, relax and don't resist." Lu Ming shouted. "Okay." Tian Chui and Xuanixin nodded subconsciously. Lu Ming waved his hand, and the mountain and river diagram appeared. He put Tian Chui and Xuanixin into the mountain and river diagram. Then he used the wind origin technique and flapped his black wings. His body shot forward like a black lightning bolt, and his speed was no slower than the heavenly god sex peerless genius. The heavenly god sex peerless genius's face changed, and the killing intent on his face intensified. He stared at Lu Ming, and the holy light on his body burned like a white flame. He sped up and chased closely behind Lu Ming. "Who is that?" What a shocking fluctuation! That's the peerless genius of the heavenly god sect, Shi Guan. Who is the one running in front? Why is Shi Guan chasing after him? That person is not ordinary either. That pair of wings is a sacred weapon. The two of them, one running and one chasing, attracted the attention of others. It's that guy Lu Ming. A few black-robed youths in front of Lu Ming heard the commotion and looked over. When one of them saw Lu Ming, his eyes flashed with killing intent. These people were the disciples of the Sky Universe Demon Sect. The one who spoke was Emohi. "Shi Guan is chasing after him. Let's stop Lu Ming." Emohi said coldly. He unsheathed his demonic saber, and a saber light slashed towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming, who was flying, narrowed his eyes, and used his black wings to block in front of him. Bang! The demonic saber slashed at the black wings. Lu Ming's body shook, and he was stopped. "Lu Ming, let's see how you will die today." Emohi's eyes were cold as he stood in front of Lu Ming. Demonic qi filled the sky. Back then, he had been ordered to kill Lu Ming. In the end, not only had he failed to kill Lu Ming, but the 5 LV7 Martial Royal Realm experts who had followed him had all died. Even he had been tricked by Lu Ming. One of his arms had been cut off, and he had even lost his storage ring. During this period, he had been thinking about revenge all the time. He had not expected to meet Lu Ming here. Moreover, Lu Ming was being chased by the heavenly god sex experts. Of course, he would not hesitate to attack. "Emohi, I will kill you sooner or later," Lu Ming said coldly. His body flickered, and he was about to rush to the other side. "Stay," Emohi shouted coldly, and his demonic saber slashed out 10 saber lights. Emohi's arm, which had been cut off by Lu Ming, had grown back. His cultivation had reached the peak of the LV6 martial royal realm. He had a superior earthly spiritual body, and his combat strength was shocking. Lu Ming did not meet Emohi's attack head-on. His black wings slashed out like a heavenly saber, breaking through Emohi's saber lights. Stay! The two Sky Universe demon sect disciples who had followed he unsheathed their demonic sabers and charged at Lu Ming. These two youths were at the peak of the LV5 martial royal realm, and their combat strength was not weak. At the same time, the stone crown behind them was closing in. Kill! Lu Ming hollered. Two beams of black light flashed in his eyes and dashed toward the two disciples of the Heavenly Universe demon sect. Their bodies shook. At this time, Lu Ming waved his hand, and the black dragon's spear appeared. It turned into two spear lights and stabbed at the two Sky Universe demon sect disciples. The spear lights contained the 13-strike technique. 10 streaks of energy burst out and pierced through the two Sky Universe demon sect disciples' attacks and defenses. Puff! Puff! The two Sky Universe demon sect disciples died. Die. Chapter 1519. Shi Guan's spear of divine punishment was extremely powerful, as if it could pierce through everything in the world. Lu Ming's hair stood on end. The sense of danger Shi Guan gave him was too strong. Block it! Lu Ming's mind stirred, and the sacred weapon shield flew out again, blocking in front of him. At the same time, he continued to fly forward. Stay here! Emohi roared, his anger soaring to the sky. He didn't expect that after intercepting Lu Ming, he would be able to kill two Sky Universe demon sect disciples. His killing intent towards Lu Ming was even stronger. The demonic saber exploded and slashed towards Lu Ming. You're courting death! A cold light flashed in Lu Ming's eyes, and the black wings covered his body. Boom! Shi Guan's god's punishment spear hit the shield and sent it flying. Subsequently, it continued to hit the black wings. Lu Ming's body shook, and he was sent flying. There was another stream of blood in his mouth. Shi Guan's attack was too strong. If he didn't have two sacred artifacts protecting him, he wouldn't have been able to block it. So many sacred artifacts. Who is that person? He has so many sacred artifacts. In the distance, some onlookers stared at Lu Ming with fiery eyes. Lu Ming had too many sacred artifacts. He took out 3 in a row. You think you can avoid death by relying on sacred artifacts? Today you will still die. Kill! Shi Guan shouted. His body was bathed in sacred light, and he held the spear of divine punishment in his hand. He charged towards Lu Ming like a god. Shi Guan was definitely a rare genius of the celestial god sect. Although the pressure he gave off was far from that of a godson, it was still very terrifying. If this continued, Lu Ming wouldn't be able to block more than a few moves, even if he had a sacred artifact protecting him. Chirp, chirp. At some point, Bubble appeared on Lu Ming's shoulder. With a wave of its paw, it opened a space-time tunnel. Lu Ming rushed in without hesitation. The next moment, he appeared thousands of miles away. Then, with a flap of the black wings, Lu Ming quickly flew away. Space-time domain, damn it! Shi Guan roared angrily and chased after Lu Ming at high speed. However, in front of him, Lu Ming got the bubbles to open another space-time passageway. This time, Lu Ming entered and his figure disappeared. Damn it! Shi Guan went crazy. His anger surged into the heavens, and his killing intent was as cold as winter snow. That brat escaped again. Emohi's eyes were cold. Shi Guan, this person is from Dragon God Valley. Emohi's voice resounded. Dragon God Valley? Humph, I must kill everyone from Dragon God Valley in this meeting. Shi Guan said coldly. He turned into a beam of light and left. Lu Ming. Emohi gritted his teeth, and his eyes were as cold as a poisonous snake's. Then he left as well. Lu Ming ran madly through Tsang Mountain. Previously, Lu Ming had bubbled open a space-time passage and appeared in Tsang Mountain. The terrain of Tsang Mountain was complicated, and ancient trees towered into the sky. Naturally, Shiguan lost track of Lu Ming. Lu Ming ran for a while in Tsang Mountain and found a remote place to let Tian Chue and Xuanixin out. Ninth junior brother, are you all right? Tian Chue and Xuanixin looked at Lu Ming. I'm fine. I've shaken him off. Lu Ming said, Damn it, a rank 9 martial royal realm cultivator chased after us. If I increase my cultivation by 2 more levels, I'll smash him to death with my hammer. Tian Chue said unhappily, Ninth junior brother, it's all thanks to you this time. Xuanixin said, She and Tian Chue were not good at speed. If not for Lu Ming's Grotto Heaven treasure, they would not have been able to escape. I didn't expect Ninth junior brother to have a Grotto Heaven treasure. Tian Chue grinned. Are Grotto Heaven treasures very rare? Lu Ming asked curiously. Of course it's rare. A paradise treasure is a world of its own. It's like a small world. Only a great emperor can refine it. Furthermore, it requires rare materials. Tian Chue said, Only great emperors can refine them? Lu Ming was shocked. He had thought that Grotto Heaven treasures were not rare in the Yuan continent. It seemed that the treasures obtained in the Battle of Providence were extremely rare. Let's take a rest here. Lu Ming said. They had suffered some injuries. Although they were not serious, they still needed some time to recover. Tian Chue and Xuanixin nodded. The 3 of them sat with their legs crossed. After an hour, Lu Ming had recovered from his injuries. Where are we going now? Tian Chue asked. Let's go to the outpost in Divine Dragon Valley. Every sect has an outpost in Tsang Mountain for their disciples to stay. There are sage realm elders there. The people of the Celestial Sect will not dare to go to the outpost in Divine Dragon Valley. Xuanixin said. Lu Ming and Tian Chue did not have any objections. Then Xuanixin led the way, and the 3 of them went to the outpost in Divine Dragon Valley. Soon, a large building appeared in front of them. It was built on the mountainside and looked very majestic. Lu Ming and the other 2 took out their Divine Dragon Valley disciple badges and entered without any hindrance. Lu Ming. A crisp and clear voice sounded. Lu Ming looked in the direction of the voice, and a smile appeared on his face. Ying, Brother Qiu. Lu Ming called out. It was Qiu Ying and Qiu Hao. The 2 of them walked towards Lu Ming with smiles on their faces. Ying, I haven't seen you for a while. Your cultivation has improved a lot. Lu Ming looked at Qiu Ying and said with a smile. Qiu Ying's cultivation had reached LV 3 Martial Royal Realm. This was out of Lu Ming's expectations. On the other hand, Qiu Hao's cultivation seemed to have just reached the 2nd layer Martial Royal Realm. I've received in succession in the Kangu mystical ground and joined the Ice Dragon Valley. An elder of the Ice Dragon Valley took me in as his disciple. That's why my cultivation has improved so quickly, Qiu Ying explained. Congratulations. Lu Ming smiled. He was happy for Qiu Ying. They were friends. He was happy that Qiu Ying had such a great opportunity. Who are these 2? Qiu Ying glanced at Tian Chue and Xuanixin. This is my senior brother and senior sister from the Cloud Dragon Valley. Lu Ming introduced them to Qiu Ying. The 2 of them greeted each other. Ying, when did you arrive? Lu Ming asked. We've been here for 10 days. Big brother and I were planning to ask you to come with us, but we heard that you had already set off when we arrived at the Cloud Dragon Valley. Why did you only arrive now? Qiu Ying asked curiously. We were delayed on the way. Lu Ming smiled without explaining further. I'll bring you to your house. You just need to register, Qiu Ying said. She seemed to be very happy to see Lu Ming. Following this, Lu Ming and the others each claimed a house and returned to their own rooms. Qiu Yingying and the others also left. Lu Ming returned to his room and continued to meditate. There were only 20 days left until the treasure sorting convention. It was still early. In the following days, Lu Ming and the others were cultivating. Shi Guan did not come to the Heavenly Divinity sect either. 3 days later, Xuanixin and Tian Chui came to see Lu Ming. Shopping? Lu Ming was surprised. Chapter 1520. Lu Ming finally understood what was going on after Xuanixin explained. The treasure sorting assembly was held once every 3 years. The 13 top sects of the Tsang continent would gather at Tsang Mountain. Not only that, but many other sects would also attend. It was the biggest event in the Tsang continent in 3 years. Such an event naturally attracted many big chambers of commerce to gather at Tsang Mountain. There were even chambers of commerce from outside the Tsang continent. They brought many rare treasures that could not be found in the Tsang continent. Among them, the most famous was the Treasure Pavilion. I heard that the Treasure Pavilion is a very large chamber of commerce outside the Tsang continent. They are extremely powerful. I'm afraid that even the 13 top sects of the Tsang continent combined might not be as powerful as them. Xuanixin explained. So powerful. Lu Ming was shocked. Of course, because the Treasure Pavilion is an Emperor-level faction. Xuanixin said. Emperor-level faction. Lu Ming's pupils shrank. As the name suggested, an Emperor-level faction was only called an Emperor-level faction if it had a great emperor. None of the 13 top factions in the Tsang continent had a great emperor. Their strength could not be compared to an emperor-level faction. Every time the Supreme Treasure Pavilion comes, they bring a lot of treasures that are rare in the Tsang state. Today is the opening day of the Supreme Treasure Pavilion. It will attract countless people. Let's go take a look and see if we can buy anything useful. Xuanixin said. Okay. Lu Ming nodded. He was suddenly interested. Not long after, the 3 of them changed into black robes and wore black bamboo hats on their heads, enveloping their entire bodies. At the same time, the 3 of them concealed their auras. Even if there were acquaintances, they would not be able to recognize them. According to Xuanixin, the Supreme Treasure Pavilion would open today. Many people from different factions would go there. Many of them had grudges against each other, so it would be easy for them to kill each other. Therefore, many people would wear black robes and bamboo hats to avoid being recognized. In this way, even if they bought something precious, they would not be targeted. The 3 of them flew toward a mountain. Not long after, a vast palace appeared in front of Three-Eyed Man. On the top of the palace, there were 3 big words, Treasure Pavilion. The doors of the Supreme Treasure Pavilion were already open. Numerous figures flew into the pavilion. Most of them were dressed in black robes and bamboo hats like Lu Ming and the other 2. Even if they weren't dressed in black robes, they had disguised themselves. The 3 of them walked through the door and immediately saw a huge counter. Behind the counter, there were all kinds of treasures. The interior of the hall was extremely spacious. Counters were arranged in an orderly manner, and there were people in front of the counters who were specially assigned to greet the guests. Countless people were strolling around the palace. At a glance, there were no less than 100,000 people, but it did not seem crowded. It was clear how big the palace was. Moreover, in this place, no one would dare to make a move to snatch the treasure, because this was the Supreme Treasure Pavilion. It was said that many years ago, when the Treasure Pavilion first came to Tsang State, a saint tried to steal their treasures. In the end, an absolute saint appeared and slapped the saint to death. After that, no one dared to set their sights on the treasures of the Supreme Treasure Pavilion. So many precious materials. Lu Ming's gaze swept around, dazzling him. However, the materials, spiritual weapons, and pills here were of a lower grade and were not of much use to the 3 of them. Let's go upstairs. The treasures on the 2nd floor are of a higher grade. Xuanixin said. There were a total of 3 floors here. The treasures on each floor would be of a higher grade and more precious. The three of them walked up the stairs to the second floor. The treasures on the second floor were indeed of a higher grade and more precious. This is the elixir of creation. It's even more precious than the 10,000 spirit elixir. Lu Ming saw a type of elixir of creation and bought 5 kilograms on the spot. Of course, the price was more than half of his mid-grade origin stones. Lu Ming put the elixir of creation into the mountain and river diagram. Ming Lian's second body poured the elixir of creation on the enlightenment ancient tree. Now, the enlightenment ancient tree was growing better and thicker, with more and more leaves. The three of them walked around. Tian Shui and Xuanixin bought some things. Let's go to the third floor, Lu Ming said. Then, the three of them walked up to the third floor. There were also many people on the third floor, no less than 10,000. Of course, many of the treasures on the third floor were of the saint realm, such as sacred elixirs and sacred weapons. They were very precious, and many people couldn't afford them. They were just there to broaden their horizons. So many sacred weapons. Lu Ming looked at a counter. On the counter were numerous holy artifacts. At a glance, there were no less than 100 of them, no less than 100 saint weapons. How astonishing was that! Every single saint weapon exuded a mysterious aura and radiated various kinds of light. As for the counter, there were only 2 young and beautiful women standing there. It seemed that they were only martial emperors. Many people stopped in front of the counter to look. They stared at the sacred weapons with blazing eyes. They couldn't wait to swallow those sacred weapons. If it were any other place, there would be only 2 martial emperors guarding hundreds of sacred weapons. They would have been snatched away long ago. But here, no one dared to make a move. If anyone dared to make a move, the next moment, they would be standing in front of a saint expert. Lu Ming and the other 2 came to the counter. Ladies, do you have any glove-type sacred weapons for sale? Lu Ming lowered his voice and asked, Of course, do you want to buy them? A young woman said with a smile, Not bad, can you show them to me? Lu Ming said, Okay. A woman nodded and took out a box. When she opened the box, a dark red ball the size of a longan fruit was revealed. This is... Lu Ming was a little confused. Didn't they want to give him a glove-type sacred weapon? Why did they take out a ball? Sir, this is a sacred weapon glove, specially made by our treasure pavilion. It's very mysterious. Let me show it to you. A young woman said with a smile. Then she took the ball and placed it in her palm. A shocking scene appeared. The sphere actually softened like a pool of liquid, wrapping the young woman's hand inside, forming a glove. The young woman's palm seemed to be covered by a layer of black gauze. Then the young woman injected her true yuan. Buzz! The glove emitted a powerful aura. It was the aura of a sacred weapon. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He fell in love with this sacred weapon glove at first sight. Sir, this sacred weapon glove is called the Flowing Element Glove. It's made of flowing element gold and other precious materials. It contains the law and is a true sacred weapon. It's very hard. Sacred weapons of the same level can't break it. Moreover, it's very convenient to use. Chapter 15:21. When you want to use the flowing element glove, it will appear with just a thought. When you want to put it away, it will appear with just a thought. The young woman introduced. What an amazing glove! Such a glove is a rare treasure in the world. Many people at the side stared at the glove in the young woman's hand with burning eyes. Such a glove was too precious and tempting for martial artists who were good at palm techniques, finger techniques, and fist techniques. Miss, I want this glove. How much is it? Me too. Miss, how many origin stones? Suddenly, a few people spoke and stepped forward. Lu Ming frowned. He was the one who asked first. I'm sorry. The materials for the flowing element glove are hard to find, and it's very difficult to refine. So there's only one. The young woman said. Only one. Then sell it to me. Get lost. It's mine. At least a dozen people spoke. The scene was noisy. This glove is priced at 500 million mid-grade origin stones. No bargaining. The young woman said. What? 500 million? The scene suddenly quieted down, and the sound of people sucking in cold air could be heard. 500 million mid-grade origin stones? Miss, just one glove? The person who wanted to buy the glove earlier sounded a little hoarse. Gunj-type holy artifacts were slightly more expensive than ordinary holy artifacts. However, there were usually only a pair of them, which was why they were more expensive. A pair of good glove-type holy artifacts was worth 3 ordinary holy artifacts. A sacred weapon was worth about 100 million mid-grade origin stones. He originally estimated the price of this glove to be about 150 million, but now it was priced at 500 million. The price was shockingly high. It's too expensive. I can't afford it. It's not worth it. Those people shook their heads and gave up on the purchase. 500 million was too expensive. 500 million. Lu Ming gasped in his heart. 500 million was equivalent to 5 sacred weapons. He had obtained 4 bright, sacred weapons from the Dragon Palace's treasury. Lu Ming had kept the black dragon spear for his own use, so there were only 3 bright, sacred weapons left. Even if he sold all 3 bright sacred weapons, he would still be short of 200 million mid-grade origin stones. All the raw stones he had on him added up to less than 200 million. Unless he sold a lot of precious refining materials, it would be possible for him to gather enough. Miss, do you accept holy weapons here? Lu Ming asked. Yes. The young woman smiled. Lu Ming waved his hand, and 3 Mingsheng weapons appeared in his hand. They were all obtained from the Dragon Palace treasury. 3 saint weapons. Many people's eyes lit up as they stared at Lu Ming. All sorts of lights flickered in their eyes, and no one knew what they were thinking. Dear customer, if you want to buy the flowing element gloves, you can use the Mingxing weapon as a substitute. These 3 Mingxing weapons and 200 million origin stones will do, the young woman said. However, Lu Ming still revealed a look of hesitation. It wasn't that he didn't want to, but that he didn't have any. He still had a shield and a pair of black wings on him, but he wanted to keep both of them. Junior brother, I can lend you 2 holy weapons first. Tian Chui seemed to have seen through Lu Ming's thoughts. With a wave of his hand, 2 more holy weapons appeared. Senior brother, you, Lu Ming's eyes flickered. It's enough for me for now. Tian Chui smiled. Okay, I'll return it to senior brother as soon as possible. Lu Ming didn't stand on ceremony. He took Tian Chui's holy weapon and said, Miss, I'll use 5 holy weapons to buy the flowing element gloves. Okay, the young woman said. She took Lu Ming's holy weapon and put the flowing element gloves into a box before handing it to Lu Ming. Lu Ming took it and reached out to hold the flowing element gloves that had turned back into a ball. It was warm and cold to the touch. After he injected some true essence, the flowing element gloves flowed like liquid and wrapped around Lu Ming's right palm. It's as light as a feather. Lu Ming felt it carefully. The flowing element gloves were as light as a veil on his hand. It was almost weightless. Whoa! As he injected more true essence, the flowing element gloves emitted a powerful aura. Lu Ming was slightly surprised. He found that as he injected true essence, the flowing element gloves' weight increased rapidly. The stronger the true essence, the heavier the gloves. Lu Ming was pleasantly surprised that the flowing element gloves had such a function. Are you satisfied? The young woman said. Thank you. Lu Ming didn't say much. With a thought, he put away the flowing element gloves. If he wanted to use it freely, he would have to go back and refine it. At the side, pairs of fiery eyes stared at Lu Ming. Some of them were filled with greed. Lu Ming sneered. In the Supreme Treasure Pavilion, these people wouldn't dare to do anything to him. Lu Ming swaggered around with Xue Ningxin and Tian Chue. That's a heart of ice. Soon, Xue Ningxin found a heart of ice on a counter. It was a rare treasure. Xue Ningxin's true form was a snow dragon, so it was very useful to her. In the end, Xue Ningxin exchanged 2 sacred weapons for the heart of ice. So many sacred weapons. These 3 guys have so many sacred weapons. Some people had been paying attention to Lu Ming and the other 2. Seeing this scene, their eyes burned with passion. In total, Lu Ming, Tian Chue, and Xue Ningxin had taken out 7 sacred weapons. How shocking was that? Senior brother, senior sister were being watched. Let's split up and blend into the crowd to divert their attention. Lu Ming transmitted his voice to Tian Chue and Xue Ningxin. There were close to 200,000 people on the 3 levels of the Supreme Treasure Pavilion. At least half of them were wearing black robes and bamboo hats. As long as they blended into the crowd and kept moving, these people wouldn't be able to find them. Okay, let's do that. Tian Chue and Xue Ningxin nodded. Then, the 3 of them spread out and sped up into the crowd. Oh no, they're trying to run away. Chase them. Some people followed Lu Ming and the other 2 closely. However, the 3 of them had restrained their auras. The other party could not lock onto their auras at all. The 3 of them moved quickly among the crowd. They walked to the first floor, made dozens of rounds, ran to the second floor, and then to the third floor. An hour later, those people had completely lost track of Lu Ming and the other 2. Damn it, what a pity. Some people sighed. Lu Ming and the other 2 definitely had a lot of wealth. If they could take it, they would be rich. Unfortunately, Lu Ming and the other 2 were too cunning. Some people were very unhappy that they had escaped just like that. 2 hours later, Lu Ming, Tian Chue, and Xue Ningxin met at the gate through voice transmission. They had bought what they needed. It was time to leave. The 3 of them left the gate and flew toward the outpost in Dragon God Valley. However, after flying for a while, the 3 of them suddenly stopped. In front of them, 3 figures in black robes blocked their way. You guys hand over your storage rings and get lost. The person in the middle spoke. He sounded very young. You guys are really something. Chapter 1522. Are you curious about how we found you? The man in the middle asked. That's what I was about to ask. Lu Ming said, It's simple. When you bought the flowing element gloves, I put a kind of powder on you. It's colorless, odorless, and formless. No matter where you go or how you blend into the crowd, you won't be able to escape from me. The man in the middle explained and continued, Hurry up and hand over your storage ring or die. Try me if you dare, Lu Ming said. 2 6th-layer Martial Royal Realm and 1 4th-layer Martial Royal Realm. How arrogant. I can easily kill you. The black-robed man stepped forward. However, his cultivation was also at the 6th-layer Martial Royal Realm. Buzz. With a wave of his hand, a dense black cloud immediately shrouded the 3 of them. Poisonous insects. It was a dense cloud of poisonous insects. So you're from the Desire Poison sect. Allow me. Xue Ningxin stepped forward. Her body emitted a cold aura as she threw out a punch. The force of her palm turned into a terrifying wave of frost that spread toward the poisonous insects. Instantly, the poisonous insects were frozen. Xue Ningxin then shook her palm, and the poisonous insects turned into ice shards and dissipated. Not bad. Come again. A green mist burst out from the man's body. It emitted a disgusting stench as it surged toward Xue Ningxin. Xue Ningxin stepped forward and threw out 2 punches. Boom! Boom! Every single punch was accompanied by a terrifying frigid aura that froze the surrounding space. The poisonous mist was instantly sealed in ice. You want to freeze my poisonous fog? In your dreams. Corrode. The other party let out a low roar, and the mist actually turned into small worms that corroded the ice. Then, the poisonous fog surged toward Xue Ningxin. What a terrifying poisonous fog! Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He was well aware of Xuan Ningxin's strength and how terrifying her wave of frost was. It could even freeze true origin. However, it was corroded by the poisonous fog. This showed how terrifying the poisonous fog was. The man was definitely a peerless genius of the Desire Poison sect. No wonder he was so arrogant. Roar! Xuan Ningxin let out a dragon roar, and the cold qi on her body became more intense. She punched with both fists, and the fist energy turned into snow-white dragons that danced in the air. Bang! These true dragons were so powerful that they charged through the mist and headed straight for the Desire Poison Sex Prodigies. Bang! The Desire Poison Sex Prodigies' body exploded into a cloud of poisonous gas that shot toward Xuan Ningxin. Ha ha ha, my physique is a superior earth spiritual body. 1,000 Desire Poison body. You can't hurt me at all. The other party's cold voice came from the poisonous gas. Xuan Ningxin kept punching with her fists, but the poisonous gas didn't seem to be able to hurt her opponent. The endless poisonous gas moved toward Xuan Ningxin. Roar! Xuan Ningxin let out another dragon roar. Her body started to change rapidly. Her black robe exploded and a huge snow dragon appeared in the sky. So it's a true dragon. You guys are from the Dragon God Valley. The voice of the Desire Poison Sex Prodigy rang out from the poisonous gas. Roar! Xuan Ningxin turned into her true dragon form and let out a long roar. She opened her mouth and spat out a terrifying wave of frost that covered a 10-mile radius. The 10-mile radius was completely frozen. This time, some of the poisonous gas was frozen. However, there was still a lot of poisonous gas that turned into weapons that shot toward Xuan Ningxin. Xuan Ningxin stepped out with her dragon claws and clashed with the weapons. The two exchanged blows, but it was difficult to determine the victor. That's a true dragon. How terrifying! And the Desire Poison Sex Prodigy. The battle was so intense that many people in the distance were alerted and flew over. Even the people in the Supreme Treasure Pavilion were alerted and flew over to take a look. In an instant, the battlefield was filled with people. What terrifying battle prowess! She's only a 6th layer martial emperor. She must be a top prodigy with a superior earth spiritual body. Many people commented. In the blink of an eye, Xuan Ningxin and her opponent had exchanged dozens of blows. The prodigy of the Desire Poison sect became more and more impatient as the battle continued. He had initially thought that he would be able to defeat Lu Ming and the others easily. He could even kill a 7th layer martial emperor with ease, let alone a 6th layer martial emperor. In fact, ordinary 8th layer martial emperors would be poisoned to death if they were not careful. However, someone with the same cultivation level was able to fight him to a draw. He knew that he had encountered a genius of the same cultivation as him. You guys attack and kill those two. The prodigy of the Desire Poison sect yelled. Whoosh! Whoosh! The other two prodigies of the Desire Poison sect charged toward Lu Ming and Tian Shui. Their auras were at the peak of the 7th layer martial emperor realm. Buzz! Buzz! As soon as the two of them attacked, densely packed poisonous insects pounced toward Lu Ming and Sky Hammer. Die! Tian Shui let out a furious roar as he swung his giant hammer forward. Bang! The sky shook crazily. The huge hammer smashed down, bringing with it a terrifying shockwave. Those poisonous insects were all blown apart, turning into ashes. Not only that, but the shockwaves did not stop as they struck the two prodigies of the Desire Poison sect. The bodies of the two Desire Poison sect members exploded, turning into green poisonous gas that tumbled and flew backwards before condensing back together. The two prodigies stared at Tian Shui in shock. Although they had poisonous bodies and could turn into poisonous gas to counteract the attack, there was a limit to it. If the attack was too strong, it could still injure or even kill them. Tian Shui's attack had already injured them. Kill! I don't care if you have poisonous bodies. I'll crush them all. Tian Shui raised his giant hammer and charged toward the two prodigies of the Desire Poison sect. There was no need for Lu Ming to attack. Oh no! The two prodigies of the Desire Poison sect were shocked. They formed a shield with their poisonous insects and blocked in front of them. However, under Tian Chui's hammer, the insects collapsed. The two prodigies of the Desire Poison sect's prodigies were shattered again and reformed in the distance. Their faces were pale, and blood was flowing out of their mouths. Die! Tian Chui stepped forward. How dare you? Don't even think about killing the prodigies of the Desire Poison sect. Several figures flew over from afar. Before they even arrived, disgusting poisonous gas had already spread toward Tian Chui. Some of the prodigies of the Desire Poison sect saw it and joined the battle. You have more people? Lu Ming said coldly. He stepped forward and appeared in front of the prodigies of the Desire Poison sect. Devouring power erupted from his palm and enveloped the poisonous gas. The poisonous gas was completely devoured by Lu Ming. Bang! Bang! Then Lu Ming stepped into the void and 9 dragons rushed out. They charged toward the prodigies of the Desire Poison sect and sent them flying. Bang! On the other side, the prodigy who had been fighting with Xuanixin turned into a cloud of poisonous gas and retreated. He then reformed into a human form. It was a youth with a pale and cold face. Set up the poisonous gas array. Chapter 1523. Yes. The other members of the Desire Poison sect replied. Poisonous insects flew out of their bodies and flew toward Lu Ming's group. At the same time, their figures flickered as they took mysterious positions, following which their bodies began to disperse into green poisonous gas. At this moment, the poisonous gas crazily expanded until it covered the sky and enveloped Lu Ming's group. Lu Ming and Tian Chui tore off their black robes and met up with Xuanixin. The 3 of them stood together. This is the poison array. Be careful, Xuanixin said. Her enormous body was covered in snow-white, sparkling dragon scales. She was filled with a sense of beauty, like the most beautiful piece of art in the world. Let me, Lu Ming said coldly as his primal chaos domain spread out. Lightning. Following which, Lu Ming waved his hand and the chaotic territory turned into a thunder territory. Thunderbolts appeared all over the sky, and there seemed to be countless lightning snakes swimming in the sky. Each of the lightning snakes was as thick as an arm, and they spread out in all directions. The poisonous insects were struck by these lightning snakes and fell down in droves. Fire! Lu Ming continued. The primal chaos domain changed again, turning into flames that filled the sky. The flames accompanied the lightning as they surged toward the poisonous insects and the poisonous gas. Chi, 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 puff, 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 swoosh, following which a pair of black wings appeared on Lu Ming's back. The black wings expanded to a length of 100 meters. The black wings were covered with the wind domain. Lu Ming's entire body began to spin rapidly. Hoo! Hoo! The black wings brought with them endless gales that surged in all directions with astonishing power. Lightning, fire, and wind surged in the world, resisting the poisonous gas in all directions. For a moment, they were in a deadlock. Senior brother, senior sister, get ready to attack! Lu Ming transmitted to Tian Chui and Xuanixin. Thereupon, kill, 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 Lu Ming roared. With a series of roars, a formless spiritual attack shot towards the poison gas. The people of the Desire Poison sect cultivated the poison body. Their bodies could disperse, but their souls were still attached to the poisonous gas. They would still be attacked by Lu Ming. Furthermore, because the spirit body was scattered, the defense against the soul was even weaker. Lu Ming used the divine sword art, and with a few loud roars, a few miserable shrieks came out from the poisonous gas. The balls of poisonous gas twisted violently, and then gathered together to form a human shape. Kill! Kill! Lu Ming, Tian Chui, and Xuan Ningxin roared as they charged at a desire-poisoned sect's disciple. The black dragon's spear appeared in Lu Ming's hand, and he smashed it down. In an instant, a tenfold attack power erupted, causing the void to tremble violently. Bang! The desire-poisoned sect's disciple screamed as his body was torn apart. This time, he didn't turn into poisonous gas. Instead, he was truly torn apart. Lu Ming's attack had exceeded his limit, so he was killed by Lu Ming. On the other side, Tian Chui and Xuan Ningxin also used their strongest attacks, each killing a person. After killing 3 people, the poisonous gas array broke. The remaining poisonous gas began to churn, condensing into 3 people that quickly retreated. One of them was the supreme prodigy of the desire-poisoned sect. Today, the ones who will die will be you. Tian Chui roared as he raised his hammer and charged at the desire-poisoned sect's disciples. Lu Ming and Xuan Ningxin also stepped forward. What's going on? The spectators scratched their heads in confusion. Previously, the powerful figures of the desire-poisoned sect had set up a poison gas array, enveloping an area and trapping Lu Ming and the other 2. They had thought that Lu Ming and the other 2 were dead for sure. Unexpectedly, in the next moment, there were flashes of lightning, flames, and strong winds within the poison gas array. Then there were several loud shouts, and the poison gas array collapsed. A few people from the desire-poisoned sect were killed one after another. The remaining few people were at a disadvantage and kept retreating. They didn't understand how the desire-poisoned sect had lost. The remaining members of the desire-poisoned sect had ugly expressions. Lu Ming's roars had injured their souls, so they weren't a match for Lu Ming's group. Lu Ming! At this moment, a loud roar resounded through the world. At least 8 or 9 rays of demonic light tore through the void and flew toward Lu Ming's group. In the next moment, 9 figures appeared behind Lu Ming's group, forming a pincer attack with the desire-poisoned sect. Mo-he! Lu Ming's face turned cold. The 9 figures were all disciples of the Sky Universe demon sect, and one of them was Mo-he. Mo-he's body was filled with killing intent, and his eyes were sharp as they swept over Lu Ming. Brother Wu, why don't we join forces and kill these 3? Mo-he looked at the desire-poisoned sect's genius and asked, Of course. The desire-poisoned sect's genius was overjoyed and quickly agreed. A trace of malevolence flashed in his eyes. It seemed that Lu Ming's group of 3 had offended many people. Mo-he, you're courting death. Lu Ming said coldly. Originally, he didn't want to have a bad relationship with the Sky Universe demon sect because of Xian Yinqing. However, the Sky Universe demon sect had gone too far. Back then, he had brought people to kill him. If he hadn't been lucky, he would have died. Every time he met he in Song Mountain, the other party wanted to kill him. Lu Ming decided that if he faced the Sky Universe demon sect again, he wouldn't be merciful. He would kill those who deserved to die. Do you think you can kill me? He sneered. Demonic chi surged from his body as he unsheathed his demonic saber and slashed at Lu Ming. Brat, I'll deal with you. Tian Chui shouted as he raised his giant hammer and smashed it at Mo-he. Clang! The demonic saber and the giant hammer collided, and an earth-shattering sound rang out. Mo-he and Tian Chui's bodies shook as they both retreated. Again, Tian Chui's eyes were filled with malevolence. He was like a barbaric dragon, and his muscles bulged as a dragon's roar sounded. He raised his giant hammer and smashed it at Mo-he. Kill! Mo-he shouted as his demonic saber burst forth. It was even more terrifying as it charged at Tian Chui. Boom! 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 In an instant, the 2 of them exchanged more than 10 moves, but there was no clear winner. Attack! At this moment, Lu Ming and Xuan Ningxin also attacked. Lu Ming's black wings flapped as he charged at the people from the Sky Universe demon sect. He thrust out his black dragon spear, which turned into a dazzling light. Puff! A young man from the Sky Universe demon sect, who was at the peak of the 5th layer martial royal realm, was killed by Lu Ming. Then the long spear swept out, and a rank 6 martial royal realm cultivator's body exploded. Roar! Xue Ningxin cooperated with Lu Ming and pounced on the people from the Sky Universe demon sect. One of them was killed by a claw. Kill! There was also an expert from the Sky Universe demon sect. A young man at the peak of the 7th layer martial royal realm erupted with shocking battle strength as he fought with Xue Ningxin. However, Lu Ming was invincible. After several people were killed by Lu Ming, the remaining people from the Sky Universe demon sect turned pale and retreated. They did not dare to fight against Lu Ming. What powerful battle strength! That guy from the Dragon God Valley is so strong that he can fight Mo, he to a standstill. How terrifying! Mo, he is a top genius of the Sky Universe demon sect. He is considered a top genius in the entire Tsang continent. Who is that guy? How can he fight Mo, he to such an extent? It seems to be that crazy guy from the Dragon God Valley, Tian Chue. Chapter 1524. Tian Chue loved to battle and was fond of killing. Thus, he was quite famous among the crowd. And that snow dragon, its strength is quite shocking too. It seems to be stronger than an ordinary dragon. Indeed, it should be a genius among the true dragons. And that 4th layer martial dominator, his strength is quite shocking too. That's where you're wrong. That 4th layer martial dominator cultivator is relying on a sacred weapon. Did you see the wings on his back and the spear in his hand are both sacred weapons? That's why his strength is so strong. Without a sacred weapon, his strength would only be ordinary. That's true. The disciples of the various sects began to discuss among themselves. In the sky, Lu Ming executed his movement technique and lunged toward a 6th layer martial dominator. The person's expression changed greatly as he did not dare to face Lu Ming's attack head-on. Croak! At that instant, a croak could be heard as a giant golden toad lunged toward Lu Ming. It opened its mouth and emitted a poisonous gas toward Lu Ming. The poisonous gas of a sacred weapon. Lu Ming's expression changed slightly. He could tell at a glance that the golden toad was a sacred weapon. The poisonous gas of a sacred weapon was absolutely terrifying. Whoosh! Lu Ming quickly backed away, not wanting to come into contact with the poisonous gas. The young genius of the Desire Poison sect controlled the golden toad and chased after Lu Ming. Croak! Croak! The golden toad cried out as if it were alive. It kicked the air and turned into a golden ray that charged toward Lu Ming. Whoosh! Following this, a golden ray was fired from the toad's mouth and penetrated Lu Ming's body. Tongue! Lu Ming's eyes flickered. The golden ray was the tongue of the toad. Whoosh! The black dragon's spear stabbed forward like a black lightning bolt. Ding! 2 rays of light, one black and one golden, collided in the air. Lu Ming's figure shuddered as he was knocked 2 steps backward. Meanwhile, the tongue of the toad was knocked flying. What a powerful force! Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. His opponent's saint weapon was truly powerful. Not only did it have a poison attack, it also had a tongue attack. Without a doubt, if he was struck by that tongue, he would definitely be killed. Croak! The golden toad cried out and spat out poisonous gas from its mouth. Get the hell back! Lu Ming coldly spoke. His black wings flapped, causing a gale to sweep forward. The poisonous gas was blown off course by the gale. A Sky Universe Devil Sect disciple was careless and was enveloped by the poisonous gas. He immediately let out a mournful scream. In just a few breaths of time, he turned into a skeleton and fell to the ground. What a terrifying poison! That disciple of the demon sect was a low-earth spiritual body cultivator, but he had died in a few breaths. The desire-poisoned sex youth's face was dark as he controlled the golden toad to attack Lu Ming. Whoosh! Just at this moment, a terrifying sharpness stabbed towards Lu Ming from behind. It was a spear, the spear of divine retribution. This spear of divine punishment was too fast, and its power was too shocking. Not good. The moment Lu Ming felt it, his body stiffened as if a terrifying aura had locked onto him. In the next instant, the spear of divine punishment was about to pierce through Lu Ming's body. It was too fast, so fast that Lu Ming did not even have time to react. Puff! The spear of divine punishment pierced through Lu Ming's body. However, at this moment, Lu Ming's body shattered like a mirror with a loud bang. A dozen meters away, Lu Ming's figure appeared. Lu Ming felt a layer of cold sweat on his back. That attack had been too dangerous. Lu Ming had almost been killed. Luckily, Bubble had acted at the critical moment and used the space-time domain to move Lu Ming a dozen meters away, allowing him to avoid a calamity. A figure appeared where Lu Ming had been, and a cold voice resounded, "Space-time domain!" It's him. Lu Ming's eyes turned cold. The person who had appeared was the genius of the Heavenly God sect who had chased after Lu Ming, previously Shiguan. This person was a ninth-layer martial dominator realm genius who had tried to ambush Qin Nan. Space-time domain? Die, Shiguan said coldly as he lashed out with the spear of divine punishment in his hand, causing the air to explode. The spear of divine punishment was aimed at Lu Ming. Lu Ming's forehead emitted a glow, forming a shield in front of him. At the same time, his black wings protected his body. Bang! The shield was instantly sent flying as the spear of divine punishment struck Lu Ming's black wings. Lu Ming's body shuddered violently as he was sent flying like a cannonball. Puff! Lu Ming spat out a mouthful of fresh blood. His opponent was too powerful. Even with the protection of a sacred weapon, he was still severely injured. Die, Shiguan said coldly as his body was bathed in a sacred glow. He took a step forward and charged at Lu Ming with the spear of divine punishment. The spear of divine punishment was aimed at Lu Ming's forehead as if it could penetrate anything in the world. However, at this crucial moment, a cold aura was emitted from below as an icy sword stabbed at Shiguan at a terrifying speed. Shiguan's expression changed. The icy sword posed a fatal threat to him. He no longer cared about killing Lu Ming as he swung the spear of divine punishment at the icy sword. Bang! A shocking explosion could be heard as a terrifying shockwave swept in all directions. With the help of the shockwave, Lu Ming was sent flying over 10 li away with a cold look in his eyes. Previously, he had decided to cooperate with Bubble and fight to the death. Even if he were to die in the battle, he would not let his opponent have an easy time. However, it seemed like there was no need for that now. Han Chao, it's you. Shiguan's figure also retreated as he shouted coldly. At this moment, a young man appeared in front of Shiguan. The young man was slender and handsome. He wore a snow-white robe with an ice dragon embroidered on it. He was a disciple of the Dragon God Valley and the Ice Dragon Valley. So many people from the 3 sects are attacking 3 disciples of the Dragon God Valley. Now, even a martial royal realm 9th layer cultivator like you is attacking. Haha, how shameless. The young man from the Ice Dragon Valley, Han Chao, sneered. This Lu Ming has killed many people from the Heavenly God sect. He must die. There's no need to use any means. Shiguan said coldly. Haha, killed many people from the Heavenly God sect? What a joke. Have you not killed many disciples of the Dragon God Valley in the past few years? Does that mean that I have to kill all of the people from the Heavenly God sect whenever I see them? Do I have to use any means? Han Chao said with a mocking smile. Shiguan's face darkened. Indeed, the Dragon God Valley and the Heavenly God sect were not on good terms. It was normal for them to kill each other. However, there were still rules. For example, the Sage Realm experts from both sides would not attack the juniors of the other side. That would cause chaos. Han Chao, you don't have to say anything. Today these people must die. Shiguan said. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. At this moment, figures flew over from all directions. There were at least a few dozen people standing behind Shiguan. They were all disciples of the Heavenly God sect. Whoosh, whoosh. Chapter 1525. Boom. Tian Chue and Emo, he exchanged a blow and separated. Tian Chue went to Lu Ming's side. Xuan Xin also stopped and went to Lu Ming's side. She looked around solemnly. There were at least 100 people from the Heavenly God sect, Empyrean Demon sect, and Desire Poison sect. Their auras surged and suppressed Lu Ming's group. Cold, murderous intent filled the air. Now I don't need to do anything. They're all dead meat. Shiguan sneered. Do you really think there's no one in the Dragon God Valley? Where are the disciples of the Dragon God Valley? Han Chao shouted. His voice spread far and wide. Senior brother, let me help you. I'll do it. Voices rang out. Then figures flashed across the sky and landed behind Han Chao. They were the disciples of the Dragon God Valley. More and more disciples of the Dragon God Valley rushed out from the crowd. Everyone, this was caused by Lu Ming and the other two from the Cloud Dragon Valley. Why should we get involved in this mess? He stood in front of a few disciples of the Dragon God Valley and said he wanted Lu Ming to be surrounded by the 3 sections. He couldn't wait for Lu Ming to be killed. Naturally, he didn't want anyone to help him. Although the 7 valleys of the Dragon God Valley have some competition with each other, we have to be on the same side. If you're not going to do anything, get out of my way. A disciple of the Black Dragon Valley shouted and flew toward the battlefield. The other disciples of the Dragon God Valley also flew toward the battlefield. Yu's face turned ugly. He snorted and blended into the crowd. How could he do anything? There were more than 40 disciples of the Dragon God Valley behind Han Chao. The auras of both sides exploded. The atmosphere was tense and tense. Han Chao, you think the Dragon God Valley can go against the 3 sects? How naive. Fine, I'll kill all of you today. Shiguan's eyes were filled with cold, murderous intent. The 3 sects had the absolute advantage. They could use this opportunity to kill a group of Dragon God Valley's elites and weaken the Dragon God Valley's strength. Who are you going to kill? A faint voice came from the sky. Boom! Then a terrifying aura pressed down from the sky toward Shiguan. Shiguan's expression changed drastically. He roared angrily, and holy light erupted from his body to resist this aura. However, the holy light on his body trembled violently, and he couldn't help but take a few steps back. He looked at the sky with an ugly expression. Zifeng! Shiguan roared angrily, a serious look in his eyes. At that moment, everyone's gazes were also focused on the sky. High up in the sky, a purple-robed youth stood with his hands behind his back. His gaze swept across the Heavenly God sect, Sky Universe Demon sect, and Desire Poison sect indifferently. Zifeng, the #1 genius of the Dragon God Valley, one of the top 10 geniuses of the Tsang state. A message appeared in Lu Ming's mind. Senior brother Zifeng. It's senior brother Zifeng. The other disciples of Dragon God Valley were overjoyed. Zifeng had arrived. They knew that even if there was a battle today, they would not lose. Zifeng, you want to interfere? Shiguan said as he looked at Zifeng with an ugly expression. Although his combat strength was strong, it was nothing compared to Zifeng, who was a genius of the Tsang state. He could probably kill him in one move. The 3 of you have joined forces to bully my Dragon God Valley. What's wrong with me interfering? Zifeng said indifferently and took a step forward. Roar! An earth-shattering dragon roar came from his body. The shadow of a purple true dragon soared into the sky and looked down in all directions. A terrifying pressure pressed down on the disciples of the Heavenly God sect, Sky Universe Demon sect, and Desire Poison sect. The expressions of the disciples of the 3 forces changed drastically. It was as if a huge rock was pressing down on them, and they couldn't even breathe properly. This pressure, it's so strong. Is this the combat strength of a genius? We can't fight back at all. It's as if we're facing a sage realm expert. The disciples of the three sects revealed looks of fear on their faces. Their combat strength was far inferior to Zifeng's. If they attacked, they would be slaughtered. Zifeng, as one of the top 10 geniuses of the Tsang state, aren't you afraid of being laughed at by others for attacking these ordinary disciples? At that moment, a domineering voice sounded. A burly figure stepped into the air and stood not far away from Zifeng. Demonic qi surged from his body, and a powerful aura rushed out and destroyed Zifeng's aura. The disciples of the three forces felt their bodies lighten. Senior brother Mo Yang, the disciples of the Sky Universe demon sect, cried out in surprise. Mo Yang, one of the top 10 geniuses, is here too. Some of the spectators sucked in a breath of cold air, but at the same time they were also excited. 2 of the top 10 geniuses of the Tsang state had arrived. Could it be that the top 10 geniuses were going to fight in advance today? The top 10 geniuses of the Tsang state had fought at the Tsang State Treasure Assembly 3 years ago. In the past 3 years, they had all been cultivating in seclusion in order to suppress the other geniuses at the Treasure Assembly. They hadn't fought for 3 years. Everyone was very curious. After 3 years, to what extent had the combat strength of the top 10 monstrous geniuses reached? Others are laughing at us. Don't you think that the Celestial God sect, the Sky Universe demon sect, and the Poison sect are the laughingstock? Generally speaking, before the Treasure Assembly, those who are above the 7th level of the Martial Royal Realm would be preparing for the Treasure Assembly and wouldn't fight easily. The period before the Assembly is the stage for geniuses below the 7th level of the Martial Royal Realm. They will fight again and again. Those who are above the 7th level of the Martial Royal Realm are not allowed to interfere. But what about you? After saying that, Zifeng's gaze swept across the disciples of the 3 major sections. Among these people, at least 1/3 of them were above the 7th level of the Martial Royal Realm. That's right. The Celestial God sect, the Sky Universe demon sect, and the Poison sect were the first to besiege us. With their geniuses above the 7th level of the Martial Royal Realm, they besieged 2 6th level of the Martial Royal Realm and 1 4th level of the Martial Royal Realm. However, they still couldn't defeat our disciples. In the end, even Shi Guan had to sneak up on them. What a joke! Han Chao said coldly and mockingly. Shi Guan's face turned ghastly pale. Zifeng and Han Chao were right. Before the Treasure Assembly, it was a fight between disciples below the 7th level of the Martial Royal Realm. Those who were above the 7th level of the Martial Royal Realm would not interfere. Previously, if he had quickly killed Lu Ming and the other 2 and left, it would have been fine. However, now that he had done so, he would definitely be criticized and dissatisfied by the other sections. There were 13 top sects in the Tsang Prefecture, not just a few of them. This was the common, unspoken rule of the 13 sections. Well, in that case, let's meet at the Treasure Assembly in 10 days. Let's see how strong the backup force of the Dragon God Valley is. Mo Yang said domineeringly. That's right. At the Treasure Assembly in 10 days, unless the Dragon God Valley withdraws, let's see how you will die. Unless the Dragon God Valley doesn't participate. That's not bad. The Treasure Assembly of the Dragon God Valley can end early, Shi Guan said coldly. He knew that with the arrival of the 2 monstrous geniuses, Zifeng and Mo Yang, there would be no fight today. Chapter 1526. Then, I'll see you at the treasure ordering meeting in 10 days. Zifeng said, Let's go. Mo Yang was the first to turn around and leave. He glared fiercely at Lu Ming and left with the people from the Tianyu demon sect. Then the people from the Heavenly God sect and the Poison sect also left. In the blink of an eye, all the people from the 3 sects had left. The storm had come to an end. Lu Ming, Thank you, Senior Brother Zifeng and Senior Brother Han Chao, for your help. Xuanixin, thank you. Lu Ming, Tian Chue, and Xuanixin cupped their fists at Zifeng and Han Chao to express their gratitude. You're welcome. The three of you are good. The three of you should participate in the treasure ordering meeting. Zifeng nodded. Treasure ordering meeting? Lu Ming was still in a daze. Isn't this the treasure ordering meeting? Why is there a treasure ordering meeting? Senior Brother, don't worry. I was just about to participate. I'll kill the Heavenly God sect and the other two sects to my heart's content. Tian Chue grinned, his eyes full of malevolence. Xuanixin nodded in agreement. Let's return to the station first. Zifeng nodded and stepped out, disappearing in the blink of an eye. Then the other disciples of the Divine Dragon Valley flew back to the station together. Senior Brother, Senior Sister, what's the treasure ordering meeting? Lu Ming asked curiously on the way. The treasure ordering meeting is a competition between the 13 top sects before the treasure ordering meeting begins. The rule is that the participants must be below the 7th level of the martial royal realm and below the age of 50. Tian Chue explained. In Yuan continent, the young people's temperament was somewhat different from that in the Divine Wilderness continent. In the Divine Wilderness continent, those below the age of 30 were the younger generation, the golden age of cultivation. However, in Yuan continent, those below the age of 50 were the younger generation. This was because the cultivation environment in Yuan continent was too good. Many people had broken through to the martial royal realm at a young age and had a lifespan of 10,000 to 20,000 years. Their vitality was extremely strong. Compared to 10,000 to 20,000 years ago, 50 years old was still the golden age of youth with unlimited potential. As a matter of fact, cultivators below the 7th layer martial dominator realm are considered the reserve strength of their respective sections. They will participate in the treasure pedestal in 3 or 6 years' time. Consider it as a chance to observe the upcoming treasure pedestal, as well as the strength of their respective sects. Xuanixin explained. Lu Ming suddenly understood. This could be considered a small-scale treasure sorting convention, so it was called the Treasure Sorting Convention. The 13 sects also attach great importance to the treasure pedestal meeting because the last 3 sects are not qualified to participate in this year's treasure pedestal meeting, which is equivalent to being eliminated in advance. Therefore, every treasure pedestal meeting is extremely fierce. Xuanixin continued. How could this be? Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. The treasure sorting convention was directly linked to the treasure pedestal meeting. The last 3 sects were not qualified to participate in the treasure pedestal meeting, which meant that only 10 sects would participate in each treasure pedestal meeting. Each sect will send 36 geniuses from the 4th layer to the 6th layer martial royal realm to participate in the treasure pedestal meeting. There's still 10 days left. Let's go back and cultivate. Then we'll kill them to our heart's content. Tian Chue said. This time he felt extremely wronged. It was not that he was not strong enough, but the opponents were all experts with higher cultivation levels. However, there would not be any experts above the 6th layer martial royal realm at the treasure pedestal meeting. You should prepare yourselves. This treasure pedestal meeting might be extremely dangerous. The Heavenly God sect, the Heavenly Demonic sect, and the Desire Poison sect might join forces to deal with the Divine Dragon Valley. You should be fully prepared. Han Chao said, Senior Brother, don't worry. I'll kill whoever I see. Tian Chue said with a ferocious grin, although your strength is strong, don't underestimate your opponents. From what I know, each sect has geniuses with superior earthly spiritual bodies, and most of them have reached the peak 6th layer martial royal realm. The Heavenly God sect, in particular, has produced many geniuses over the years. They're known as the top sect in the Tsang continent. Don't underestimate them. Han Chao said. Although Han Chao had cultivated the ice dragon battle flesh, he was very easygoing. He chatted with the group along the way, and they soon arrived at the outpost of the Divine Dragon Valley. As soon as they arrived at the outpost, Lu Ming, Tianque, Xuanixin, and the others returned to their rooms to cultivate in seclusion. There were still 10 days left until the treasure pedestal meeting. Tianque had not used up all the true dragon meat he had obtained. He could use this time to improve his strength. Xuanixin's dragon crystal had not been fully digested, so her strength could also improve. As for Lu Ming, he entered the mountain and river pattern and sat under the tree of enlightenment. Previously, Shiguan's sneak attack had put him in a life-or-death situation. At the critical moment, his potential was unleashed, and his chaotic domain had reached the peak of the 4th level. He was only a step away from the 5th level. Now he needed to continue improving his cultivation. His cultivation was at the early 4th level of the martial royal realm. Now he needed to reach the peak of the 4th level of the martial royal realm. With a wave of his hand, a pile of origin stones appeared. Lu Ming began to devour and refine the origin stones. His cultivation base began to rise rapidly. 5 days later, Lu Ming's cultivation had reached the peak of the 4th level of the martial royal realm. For the rest of the time, Lu Ming cultivated the 13 strikes under the tree of enlightenment. Perhaps because of the pressure before the treasure pedestal meeting, he had cultivated the 13 strikes to the peak of the 6th level, and its power had increased greatly. At this time, the time for the treasure pedestal meeting had arrived. In the outpost of the divine Dragon Valley, there were 36 young men standing in a huge courtyard. All of them were between the 4th and 6th level of the martial royal realm. They were all geniuses. Most of their spiritual bodies were inferior earth spiritual bodies. Those with ordinary spiritual bodies were not qualified to participate. Lu Ming, Tianque, and Xuanixin were also among them. In addition, Lu Ming also saw a few familiar faces. Blood Dragon Valley, Hiyu. Silver Dragon Valley, Silver Dragon Valley. After a period of cultivation, Silver Dragon Valley's cultivation had reached the 6th level of the martial royal realm. Hiyu and Silver Dragon Valley stood together and whispered to each other. They glanced coldly at Lu Ming from time to time. At this time, a sage realm elder appeared in front of them. This treasure pedestal meeting is very important. I hope you will do your best to protect the honor of the divine Dragon Valley. The sage realm elder said, "We will do our best." The 36 young men and women said loudly, "Good. At the treasure pedestal meeting, you can't use sacred weapons. The highest you can use is a spiritual weapon of the royal realm. You should know that." The sage realm elder said, "Yes." Everyone replied, "Good. This time, the 36 of you will be led by Han Sun. At the treasure pedestal meeting, you must listen to his orders. Do you understand?" The sage realm elder said, "Yes." Everyone nodded. Lu Ming looked at a young man in a white robe. Chapter 1527. After the sage realm elder finished his instructions, he led the group to the location of the treasure peddling meeting. Of course, they weren't the only ones going. Many other disciples were going to watch as well. The location of the treasure peddling meeting was in a huge building halfway up Song Mountain. The building was circular and the top was empty. When Lu Ming and the others arrived, they saw a huge battle stage in the middle of the building. Around the battle stage were 13 huge cylindrical platforms. They were slightly higher than the battle stage and surrounded the battle stage in the middle. Looking down from the sky, each cylindrical platform had a number on it. They were arranged from 1 to 13 in a counterclockwise direction. Outside the cylindrical platforms were rows of spectator stands. They were slightly higher than the cylindrical platforms, so the people sitting on the spectator stands could clearly see the situation on the battle stage. Outside the spectator stands, there were many pavilions. They were even higher up. "We participants will land on those platforms. Let's go down," Han Sun said and landed first. They didn't deliberately choose a platform and landed on platform number 10. The sage realm elder flew into one of the pavilions. The other disciples of Dragon God Valley, who followed Lu Ming, and the others landed on the spectator, stands behind platform number 10. Dragon God Valley, you guys are pretty early. A cold voice sounded. In the sky, sacred light spread. The people of Heavenly God Sect had arrived. The people of Heavenly God Sect didn't stand on ceremony and landed on platform number 1. The disciples of Heavenly God Sect, who didn't participate in the competition, landed on the spectator stands behind platform number 1. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. At this moment, the sound of something breaking through the air could be heard. In the sky, a dense crowd was flying toward the platform. The 13 top sects arrived one after another. Each sect had 36 participants who landed on the platform. The other disciples landed on the spectator stands. Among them, Sky Universe Demon Sect landed on platform number 2. Heavenly King Palace, platform number 3. Demonic Moon Sect, platform number 4. Desire Poison Sect, platform number 5. Nine Heaven Sword Sect, platform number 6. Linglong Palace, platform number 7. Platform number 8 was empty. The sects hadn't arrived yet. Intentionless Saber Sect, platform number 9. Platform number 10 was for Dragon God Valley. Platform number 11 was for Puyuan Family. Platform number 12 was for Blood Demon Tower. Platform number 13 was for Demon Castle. Among the 13 top sects, the mysterious Life and Death Sword Sect had yet to arrive. Whoosh! Whoosh! At this moment, streaks of sword light streaked across the sky. The people of the Life and Death Sword faction had arrived. So few people? Lu Ming looked over and could not help being stunned. The Life and Death Sword faction had sent 13 people. Apart from the old man leading the group, there were only 12 people from the younger generation. Whoosh! Whoosh! 12 disciples of Life and Death Sword sects, disciples from the Life and Death sect. Lu Ming, the Life and Death Sword sect, is very strict in accepting disciples. Hence, they have the least number of disciples. Every time they participate in the treasure ordering assembly, there are 12 of them. Sometimes they can't even gather all 12 of them, although they are at a disadvantage because they have fewer disciples. No one dares to belittle them. This is because everyone in the Life and Death Sword sect is a genius. Lu Ming nodded. He saw a familiar face in the Life and Death Sword sect, Luo Xiang. Luo Xiang had left a deep impression on him. He was a peak 9 heavens supreme who had nurtured his sword soul for 15 years. Dragon God Valley. They really dare to come. In the Heavenly Universe Demon Sect. His cold gaze landed on the divine Dragon Valley and Lu Ming. Isn't it better that they're here? This time, let's kill everyone from Dragon God Valley. A genius of the Heavenly Divinity Sect said coldly. His body glowed with a sacred light and his eyes were filled with murderous intent. That's right. Kill them all. The young man who had stopped Lu Ming and the others from the Desire Poison Sect said coldly. He glared at Lu Ming and the others. Strength doesn't depend on words. We'll know who lives and who dies later, Lu Ming said as he clenched his fists. This time, I'll kill to my heart's content. Lu Ming, I'll take your life. He pointed at Lu Ming and a saber glow appeared. I'll take your life too, Lu Ming replied coldly. The Dragon God Valley, the Sky Demon Sect, the Desire Poison Sect, and the Heavenly Divinity Sect were filled with hostility even before the battle began. They were not the only ones. The other sects had conflicts with each other too. They glared at each other with murderous intent, filling the place with a murderous aura. Meanwhile, in a courtyard of the Heavenly Divinity Sect, the Divine Sun stood with his hands behind his back. Shi Guan stood behind the Divine Sun respectfully and reported to him. I didn't expect so many things to happen just because I came a few days late. The people of the Dragon God Valley are getting bolder, and you all are trash. You can't even kill a few people who have not even reached the 7th layer Martial Dominator realm. The Divine Sun said coldly, If it weren't for that kid's strange pet that can affect time, I would have killed him long ago. Shi Guan said, The space-time spirit mouse was a legendary creature. Not everyone knew about it. Guan didn't recognize it as a space-time spirit mouse, a pet that can affect time. The divine son's eyes turned cold and murderous intent burst out of his body. Tell me, what does that kid look like? And what do his two companions look like? Is there a true dragon among them? The divine son asked a few questions. There is indeed a true dragon. It's a snow dragon, and then Guan described the appearance of Lu Ming and the others. It's indeed them. They dared to set me up in the dragon palace. The divine son's eyes turned cold. Back then, in the dragon palace, he had used an ancient talisman of the god-forbidden void to suppress the black dragon's corpse. However, someone had secretly sabotaged him and destroyed the ancient talisman, allowing the black dragon to escape. All his efforts were in vain. He had been trying to find out who the culprit was. Now he knew it was Lu Ming. Who else could it be other than Lu Ming who could affect time and space? Ignorant fool, where is he now? I'll go and kill him. The divine son exuded a cold, murderous intent. Divine son, Lu Ming should be participating in the treasure sorting meeting. The 13 top sects will be gathering. If you kill him now, I'm afraid the other sects will be angry. Guan said hurriedly. Then let's wait until the treasure sorting meeting is over before killing him. After saying that, the divine son took a step forward and disappeared. The smell of gunpowder in the treasure sorting meeting was getting stronger. At this moment, an old man stepped into the air and appeared on the fighting ring. The old man was dressed in white and was a sage realm elder of the celestial sect. Over the years, the celestial sect had become stronger and stronger. They had won first place in 2 consecutive treasure sorting meetings. They had even won first place twice in the treasure sorting meeting. Chapter 1528. Since we were the winner last time, I'll be the host this time, and all the elders will supervise. The voice of the celestial sect's sage, realm, elder, reverberated throughout the area. He scanned the crowd and said, I believe that most people already know the rules of the competition. However, I still have to repeat the rules of the competition. You are divided into 13 platforms. Apart from the life and death sword faction, each sect has 36 people. The rules of the competition are very simple. First, the divine sect in the first platform will send one person to the fighting platform. He can challenge anyone from any sect until one of them is killed or knocked off the fighting platform. Then the competition will be over. The winner will go back to the platform and wait for the next challenge. After the first platform's challenge is over, it will be the turn of the second platform's sect to send one person to challenge. They can also challenge anyone from any sect until one person is defeated. Just like that, it will be the turn of the third platform to send someone to challenge, followed by the fourth platform, and all the way to the 13th platform. At least 13 people will be eliminated in one round. In theory, there will be a total of 36 rounds. Do you understand? The sage realm elder of the celestial god sect said loudly. Understood. The crowd responded. Remember, you're not allowed to admit defeat during the challenge. Only when you fall off the fighting ring or get killed will the challenge be considered over. This way, there will be a sect that will be eliminated in the end. The first 3 sects to be eliminated will be the last 3 sects, and they won't be able to participate in this treasure sorting meeting. The sage realm elder explained again, which made many people clench their fists. No matter what, they couldn't be the last 3 sections. Otherwise, their sects wouldn't even be qualified to participate in the treasure sorting meeting. How shameful would that be? In the end, only one sect will be left. The sect that survives until the end will be rewarded. The reward this time is the Emperor Area Elixir. 7 Emperor Area Elixirs. The crowd was in an uproar. What? The reward this time is so generous? It's the Emperor Area Elixir and 7 of them. How generous! Many people exclaimed. Lu Ming's eyes were burning with passion. As the name suggested, the Emperor Area elixir was refined with the Emperor Area fruit as the main ingredient. It was said that a single Emperor region pill required 9 Emperor region fruits and other precious materials to refine. An imperial domain fruit could allow a low-rank ruler to directly break through one level. On the other hand, a single royal domain pill was capable of allowing a mid-rank monarch or even a high-rank monarch to directly break through a level of cultivation. How precious was that? To intermediate rulers like them, it was a fatal attraction. It was especially so for Lu Ming. It was too difficult for him to improve his primal chaos domain. However, if he had the Emperor domain pill, it would greatly reduce the time he needed to break through. The most important point is that saint weapons are not allowed to be used in this competition. Whoever uses a saint weapon will be killed without mercy. All right, these are the rules for this competition. Now let the competition begin. The celestial divine sex sage, realm elder announced. Then he turned around and returned to a pavilion. All right, since the heavenly god sect is standing on platform number 1, let us be the first to send out someone to fight. On the first platform, a white-robed youth spoke. It was obvious that this person was the leader of the heavenly divinity sect. Every sect would arrange a leader to be in charge of adjusting the battle strategy. Having said that, the white-robed youth pointed at a youth and said, "You can go up. Follow the plan." Yes, the youth nodded. His eyes flashed coldly as he stepped forward and appeared on the platform. He looked around and his gaze landed on platform number 10, where the people of the Dragon God Valley were. "You, come down here and die." The heavenly divinity sect youth pointed at a 4th-rank Marshal Royal from the Dragon God Valley. As expected, he was challenging the Dragon God Valley. The crowd was startled. The Dragon God Valley and the heavenly divinity sect had a grudge against each other. Moreover, with the incident involving Lu Ming and the others, it was inevitable that the heavenly divinity sect would target the Dragon God Valley. "Do you think I'm afraid of you?" the Dragon God Valley youth said. He stepped forward and charged onto the platform. The two of them faced each other. Die! Die! Almost at the same time, the two of them charged at each other and their palms collided. Bang! The Dragon God Valley youth's body shook violently. He was knocked back and spat out a mouthful of blood. "Shit, he's a peak 5th-rank Marshal Royal. Damn it!" Someone from the Dragon God Valley shouted. Die! The young man from the Celestial sect had gained the upper hand in one move. He took a step forward, and his body turned into a flash of white lightning as he rushed towards the young man from the Dragon God Valley. A godly retribution spear appeared and pierced towards the young man from the Dragon God Valley. "Back off!" The Dragon God Valley youth retreated. He knew that he was no match for the heavenly divinity sect youth. He could only stay alive by leaving the platform. "You won't be able to escape. Die!" The heavenly divinity sect youth said coldly. Holy light burst out from his body, and the godly retribution spear increased in speed. Slash! The godly retribution spear pierced through the young man's dantian and pinned him on the battle stage. Then the godly retribution spear flung the young man's body off the battle stage. The young man's interspatial ring had already been taken away. What a piece of trash! The heavenly divinity sect youth sneered and returned to platform number 1. Damn it! Someone from the Dragon God Valley shouted. Someone immediately went down and carried the Dragon God Valley youth's body away. Dragon God Valley, this is just the beginning. Next, all of you will die in this fighting ring. The leader of the heavenly divinity sect said coldly. Humph, let's wait and see. Han Sun harumphed coldly. The heavenly divinity sect had finished their challenge on platform number 1. It was the turn of the heavenly divinity sect on platform number 2. A youth from the heavenly divinity sect stepped onto the platform and stared coldly at the Dragon God Valley disciple. You get down here. The heavenly divinity sect youth pointed at a rank 4 Marshal Royal from the Dragon God Valley. The heavenly divinity sect is challenging us. It seems like the Heavenly Divinity Sect and the Heavenly Divinity Sect have teamed up to target the Dragon God Valley. This guy is also a rank 5 Marshal Royal, but he dares to challenge our rank 4 Marshal Royal. Someone from the Dragon God Valley said in a serious tone. Whoosh! The Dragon God Valley youth jumped onto the platform and stared at his opponent. Die! The Heavenly Divinity Sect youth shouted and charged at the Dragon God Valley youth. His peak rank 5 Marshal Royal aura burst out. The Dragon God Valley youth did not dare to face the attack head-on and ran to the side. You can't escape. Demon Shadow Step. The young man from the Sky Universe Demon Sect flashed and appeared in front of the young man from the Dragon God Valley. He unsheathed his demon saber, and demon chi filled the air. Roar! The Dragon God Valley youth roared furiously and charged at his opponent with all his might. However, the difference in their cultivation was too big. Chapter 1529. Demonic Splitting Saber. The young man from the Sky Universe Demon Sect slashed out with his saber. The terrifying saber radiance seemed to be able to split everything. Slash! The young man from the Dragon God Valley was slashed in half. Another person from the Dragon God Valley had died. The battle had just begun, and 2 of them had already been killed. Damn it! Many young men from the Dragon God Valley shouted and clenched their fists. Then, someone went up and carried the young man's corpse down. The young man from the Sky Universe Demon Sect left the fighting ring. Next, it was the Heavenly King Palace's turn to issue a challenge. The Heavenly King Palace sent out a genius of the LV for Marshal Royal Realm to challenge LV for Marshal Royal Realm Cultivator from the Thoughtless Saber Sect. After more than 100 moves, the genius from the Heavenly King Palace won and knocked the genius from the Thoughtless Saber Sect off the fighting ring. Next, the Demonic Moon Sect issued a challenge on the 4th fighting ring. The Demonic Moon Sect sent out a LV5 Marshal Royal Realm Cultivator to challenge LV for Marshal Royal Realm Cultivator from the Puyuan family. These 2 factions had a grudge against each other, and now they were really angry. Next, it was the Desire Poison Sect's turn to issue a challenge on the 5th fighting ring. A young man from the Desire Poison Sect jumped onto the fighting ring and looked at the Dragon God Valley side. You, come down! The young man from the Desire Poison Sect pointed at a LV for Marshal Royal Realm Cultivator from the Dragon God Valley. The faces of many people in the Divine Dragon Valley turned ugly. Another challenge from the Dragon God Valley. The young man from Dragon God Valley stepped onto the battle stage with an ugly expression and then quickly retreated. His opponent was also a LV5 Marshal Royal Realm Cultivator. The young man from the Dragon God Valley knew that he was no match for him, so he could only run for his life. Unfortunately, the young man from the Desire Poison Sect was too strong. He covered the fighting ring with poison gas and killed the young man from the Dragon God Valley. Another person from the Dragon God Valley had died. Haha. Cold laughter came from the Heavenly God Sect. Many young men from the Heavenly God Sect, Sky Universe Demon Sect, and Desire Poison Sect looked at the Dragon God Valley's side with hostility. The Dragon God Valley is in trouble. The Heavenly God Sect, Sky Universe Demon Sect, and the Desire Poison Sect are joining forces to deal with the Dragon God Valley. Dragon God Valley, the Dragon God Valley side. And I don't know how many people from the Dragon God Valley will be killed. The Dragon God Valley's members. Many people from the various sects were discussing the matter. Damn it. Many young men from the Dragon God Valley roared furiously. Some of them even let out dragon roars as killing intent surged from their bodies. Whether it was the disciples of Dragon God Valley on the platform or the spectator stands behind, they were all enraged. They had gone too far. Counterattack, we must counterattack. When it's our turn, we must fight back. Many people released their true essence, revealing cold killing intent. It's all because of Lu Ming and the others. They provoked the Heavenly Divinity Sect, Sky Universe Devil Sect, and Poison Desire sect. Otherwise, why would our Dragon God Valley be targeted? A cold voice came from the crowd of Dragon God Valley. You. Lu Ming's gaze turned slightly cold. That's right. It's all because of Lu Ming and the others that our Dragon God Valley has fallen into such a desperate situation. Lu Ming and the others have to bear the full responsibility. Such people should have been chased out of the Dragon God Valley long ago. Otherwise, how could today's matter happen? Silver City also spoke coldly. Shut up. Now is the time to think of a way to fight back, not internal strife. Han Sun reprimanded coldly. You and Silver City were wary of Han Sun, so they chuckled coldly and did not say anything. No, if this goes on, I might be in danger too. I must think of a way to save myself. Yu's eyes darted around as thoughts ran through his mind. The competition continued. On the 6th platform, the Nine Heaven Sword sect. The Sky Pride of the Nine Heaven Sword sect glanced at the Dragon God Valley and did not challenge them in the end. Instead, he chose to challenge the Blood Demon House. On the 7th platform, the 8th platform. One by one, it was their turn. Soon, it was the Dragon God Valley's turn to challenge the 10th platform. The Dragon God Valley could finally fight back. Han Sun was about to arrange for an expert to kill one of the Heavenly Divinity sect's disciples to regain some morale. But at this moment, a figure suddenly rushed out and landed on the platform. It was Yu. What are you doing? Han Sun shouted angrily. Yu had dashed out before he could make any arrangements. Moreover, Yu was only a 4th-level martial emperor. What was the point of him dashing out? Yu sneered but did not say anything. He didn't want to wait for his death. He was a 4th-layer martial emperor. If he stayed on the platform and waited for the Celestial Divinity sect, Heavenly Universe Demon sect, and Poison Desire sect to challenge him, they might choose him. He didn't want to die. He turned around and looked at the monster castle on the 13th platform. Brother, why don't we have a spar? He looked at a young man from the monster castle. Damn it. Why is he challenging the monster castle? The monster castle is on good terms with the Dragon God Valley. Some disciples of the Dragon God Valley yelled. The young man from the monster castle was stunned. He did not expect Yu to challenge him. Everyone thought that the Dragon God Valley would fight back and send out an expert to challenge the Heavenly Divinity sect, the Sky Demon sect, or the Poison sect. The young man from the monster castle stepped onto the platform and began to fight with Yu. The young man from the monster castle was on par with Yu in terms of combat strength. After a few dozen moves, Yu was at a disadvantage and was knocked off the platform. Cowardly. Lu Ming said coldly. The other disciples of the Dragon God Valley were also enraged. Everyone could tell that Yu was cowardly. He was afraid that he would be challenged by the Heavenly Divinity sect and the other 2 sects if he stayed on the platform. That was why he went up to challenge the monster castle, who was on good terms with the Dragon God Valley. Moreover, Yu lost after a few dozen moves when they were on par with each other. It was obvious that he lost on purpose. This way, as the person who had lost, he would be considered eliminated. Naturally, he would not be challenged by other sections. I think, junior brother, Yu did the right thing. Why should he be responsible for the mistakes of others? Inqing said coldly. Afterward, he cast a cold glance at Lu Ming. The eyes of some of the disciples of the Dragon God Valley flickered. All right, all of you shut up. Han Sun shouted. He was infuriated. As the leader of the Dragon God Valley, he was at his wits' end. At this moment, Lu Ming stepped forward and came before Han Sun. Senior brother Han Sun, Lu Ming has a plan to avenge the Dragon God Valley. Lu Ming said with a fist salute. What plan do you have? Han Sun's eyes lit up. The other disciples of the Dragon God Valley looked over curiously. Lu Ming immediately sent a voice transmission to Han Sun, telling him his plan. Junior brother Lu, are you confident? Han Sun asked solemnly after hearing the plan. Yes, and this is the only way for the Dragon God Valley to fight back. This is the only way to minimize our losses.